heaviness in this market here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's have a great Wednesday here. Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. Our levels are pretty spread apart today, so could get a nice little bounce from this opening range if we do get the flush of this overnight low up into that previous day low VWAP. That's the goal for the open. If we could stay down on these lows, if we kind of retrace up into that 100 level, maybe the crack of the overnight low does give continuation to the downside. And a big helping factor here is going to be NVIDIA. If it opens and breaks down into 892 and bounces off this 892 level, like yesterday, bounced. If it could break off, if it could bounce from there, could help us rotate upside. Microsoft was selling off, but we do have down to 406 right there, 406.18 as support as well. That may lead to a deeper flush of this overnight low, so because we're not quite close to it, but it could just pop down to it and then pop back up. Apple, since earnings, has just kind of danced around. We are down at that 182. We do have the support level here, 181 for the bounce play for Apple. And what was the earnings today? Is Uber just Uber? Yeah, Uber is Uber. Uber dumped on earnings, missed on earnings, and kind of dragged this market down with it. So see if Uber will recover any of that. Tesla could bounce off this 170.27 level as well. So there's a lot of key levels for bounce plays here on the open. We're just going to have to wait and see the next 5 minutes kind of what happens, where we go from there. As always, if you're in the YouTube, head over to tradecaster.com. It's the best place that we stream every single day. It's a place for traders by traders. You can get over there, do a 7-day free trial, and then afterwards, everything that I give is free for the time being. There's education stuff that you could access while you're in the free trial that may disappear, but take advantage of the full access while you have it for the 7 free days. We are always here live 8:30 in the morning till 11 Central Time. Market open basically till lunch. We do have a day job that we usually go to in the afternoon. That's the main reason we are only trading that 8:30 to 11. If there's ever something that's like a power hour, news event, FOMC, something like that, where I'm off, we will be on the stream. We will pop on, but I'll advise those days when those days come. Anybody ever has any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Put everything in there. I will answer everybody as the questions come in. I love the interaction. It kind of helps me keep away from what I did yesterday. Yesterday kind of seemed like a lonely day for everybody. Kind of just a bit choppy. Broke my rules on the day. So today is the day that we do not break our rules. Today's the day we hammer in, work on what we want to do, execute according to our plan, take our money and run. All right. So we will be watching a flush of this overnight low early. I want to see some sort of liquidity sweep below here, get that delta divergence, get maybe that tilt to be a little heavy to the downside, and see what happens from there. If we do flush, break, and then break again, that rotation down probably leads us down to 18,027 is our key level below. We do have a little bit of support at the 18,060 level, but we'll get to that when that time comes. 18,060. So, I mean, really, I could come in as our flush point, could come into here, reject that 60, and that could be our indication that the longs will be in from there. So, just be mindful of that 60, 67, like right below here. We have 3 minutes till the open, so if we can push into this low right before then we'll wait for that opening range, that first minute to close out, and then see if we can get that rotation back the other direction. That's our goal, our plan for early this morning. There's a few scenarios that could take place, right? Like I said, 60 is probably that low area of support. I'll show it to you on this chart over here. We'll go to that chart. This chart over here, I did throw the levels in the chat in TradeCaster, so if you are in TradeCaster, the levels are there. This chart that I have up right now is in there with the levels that I drew up. You can see how key that level, that 172 level was. Yesterday I was mentioning that early on. I thought that we were going to come into this 172. We just never retraced totally. That's where I would have liked the long from it down here early in the day. Did not get it. And then eventually when you did finally break it and flush, that 172 wants to magnet down to that 27. But I do believe that there could be early longs that come in off of this congestion area here, this area of resistance at 76 down to 60, like I said. So I think 60 does give you that little bit of resistance. If it flushes 60, like I said, I think 27 does come into play. If 27 comes in, we're going to watch that for a bounce initially. If it bounces once, a second touch of it could lead to a flush like that we had there. We did have that once, twice, third touch here for the break to the high side. Early this week, Monday, we gapped up over that, failed it. I talked if we hold above and if we open above this, thank you. Yeah, if we open above this 27 level, bullishness comes into that 72, and what do you know? That's where we're at. And then I said 277 was probably the ultimate high of the week. We didn't quite get there yesterday, but we got pretty damn close. So that's really what I'm looking at when it comes to my levels. All right, we're going to get back to here for the open. See if our plan kind of plays out here with a flush of this low down into 60, failure of 60, and then a pop back above this 72, 75, get us long, get us back to VWAP, and be done in the first few minutes here. That's really the goal here. Let's see what we can get going. Hopefully everybody has a really good, profitable day. Stay patient, and let's get it. Here's this opening candle here. We're now open. Let's see if we can get that range to kind of pop out. You can see Delta kind of pushing in pretty heavy to the high side. That was a heavy Delta to the downside there. Heavier Delta kind of trying to push us back up. So there are buyers in this area. Hopefully they don't come in before sweeping that low here. If it doesn't get through this low, we're not going to execute. We're going to wait. We're going to be patient. I need to get down into that 60 level. NVIDIA did not quite get down to the 892 level like I mentioned, but it's still time for that. Microsoft, everything's going to get bid up right off the jump, I bet. Microsoft pushing downside. I think Microsoft goes to 406.18 and then bounces. Here you can see that down there. 406.18 just below us. Like I said, NVIDIA never quite made it to that 892, but it could bounce from here and rotate up. So we're going to watch those levels. I would like to see this overnight low flushed. So our opening range here got right up to 100, down to 80, so 20-point range, and we're cracking the high end of that. If that gives up the bottom, that could be interesting. S&P is looking like it wants to reject this higher end here at the moment at 96, so maybe if S&P can roll downside here, it could help us out some, getting some of these heavier tilts to the long side, flipped short through the low. Like I said, down into that 60 and then up. Also yesterday, I'm just going to show you yesterday's price action here, right? I mentioned this purple zone. I drew it up for you right at that time. I said from now on, I think we do tag that 72. It just took until a little bit of a rotation up, and we did tag that 72. So just being mindful of the levels there, just playing out. Opening range broke to the high side, so we are up. Delta acting that way. What's up, Jofi? How we doing today? Hope all is well. I would like this to rotate back down, flush our low, and then possibly come back higher. Good stuff. Do you find that there's a good consistency with setups pre-market on the NQ? I do see it, from like 7:30 here, that there's some movement. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I just don't trust it. Yeah. What time do you usually start trading? Just like on the London Open, or was that 2? Like pick the direction down here once it broke through that low. The sad thing about yesterday is I knew it was a chop day and I still traded it. That was my bad. Yeah, obviously New York's going to be the fastest session. It's going to be the most liquidity. It's where the market is located. It's understandable that it gets faster in this market. The London sessions definitely moves a bit more than that Asian time frame. That Asian time frame, you could watch the Nasdaq and it ticks. ticks, fails, breaks up. It's like it's a wild ride on that Asian session. Wild in the fact that it moves like molasses. That's something I may implement. I may develop an overnight account where I do only trade that account or whatever account it is purely on the overnight session. Might use one of the fundeds to do that. Yeah, it does seem that way. The levels are easier to hold, and you're not going to get as many like crazy liquidity grabs, like probably what we're going to see here below this overnight low. If we can get through it, I believe we could get through down into 60, fail 60, rotate higher. That's my goal here for the day. I don't want to hold this right now. I don't want this to be where we break. I want to sweep that low again one more time. I think during this session, they like to give a bit of a fake out, the head fake early, then come in and then go. If it just goes right now, then it is what it is. I really can't enter it. Although I loved it early. I was kind of considering it early here. 72% tilt to the long side makes me believe that it does want to pop down a little. Delta's negative comparative to price. So if Delta starts to push, then you get that full rotation to the opening range low here. And then it'll help our cause a bit. I don't know if it's going to make a full flush though, right? I mentioned that 27 down below, 18,027 is that main area of support. So if we do flush 60, 27 probably comes in, and then whatever happens around 27, there could be a liquidity sweep down to 18, and then that could be your rotation higher. So that's just something to be watching. I'll draw that little purple zone up for us just so we have it in our sights. 27 here. That's an area of interest for me. That's why I draw it there. 60, I think, like I said, 60, even if this doesn't go all the way down, if it only goes to like 78, which is really where it got right to. On the open, it got right to that 78 level, which is the 2 wicks on the 30-minute on Monday. I would like to see that wick of that 78 down into here, and then a pop. Overall, I really think we just got to be patient, especially after the last 2 days, just chopping myself up a bit. Broke my own rules here and there, and that's just kind of par for the course with this game. I'm not okay with that. So today is like ultimate discipline day. If it's not going to be the ultimate discipline day, then what am I doing here, right? You got to recognize when you did stupid shit and adjust and make adjustments. And that's kind of just, I want to show you that you can do it. And, kind of no matter what I make today, unless it's like a really banger winner, we're going to still wait on that withdrawal until I can build that buffer back up again one more time and then take whatever I want to take. And there's that push higher with NVIDIA just popping 900 right up straight up into 903. I did not get the flush down to 892, which was going to help my push down below that overnight low. So this now probably continues on upside. We do have overhead resistance into right where we're at now. So it's not really that strong of resistance because we broke right through it. Possibly up to 130. So 130, be mindful of 130 as an area where it may reject. So 130 may reject. I just got to wait for my levels to come in. If we can't play with this level, previous day low is right there. Need to see what happens. If it's going to be, if we're going to accept back into yesterday's range, or are we going to reject the low and then rotate back downside down into that 1827. So these are the things that I look for. I would like to see what happens kind of with this now seemingly support, right? See if something cracks here, and then that can give you that flush of the low and then the bounce. Overall, live streaming every day. We're pushed away from our levels, so I'm not messing around in the middle. Not only are we away from our overnight low, we're away from that level that I drew up and then showed you I've had drawn up for a while, that 18,027. We're dead center between two major structure levels. So the only excuse I would have had to have executed on my other chart is if this was on this 27 or on this 72 or on this 77. Some of these yellow lines, right, I could possibly give myself the reasoning behind executing where we're at right now. But right now, we never made it to that overnight low. We never got into that area where I could say, okay, I could justify my levels failing or my levels holding. We just don't have that confluence, right? I said if that opening range breaks to the high side, probably goes to that VWAP area. I now think that 30 runs into some resistance. You just got a big order that got filled here just over 20. So 26 contracts, 26, 13, like a bunch of lot size got filled at that 20 level on the buy side. So the bids are getting filled, and now you got a big delta candle coming in hot. So another push high side isn't unlikely. It's not unlikely. It was 139 contracts. Solid. Do you have a time of sales or like something that's showing you? Top Step X has the time and sales, which is nice. I didn't have an aggregate of all the contracts that got filled. Oh, and Thinkorswim. Yeah, Thinkorswim is really helpful. I like Thinkorswim a lot as far as a platform. I used to just chart and do everything on Thinkorswim, and then I used to execute on whatever my prop firm that I was using. It was probably Tradevate at the time when I was using it. Trying to tighten up that wedge there. There's NVIDIA failing 900, dipping back below it. Could give you a failure of this 110 level, hopefully. Could give you that rotation down to the overnight low. Then we can bounce off that overnight low is really the goal, to give us a rotation back up through those highs. Although, as I mentioned, I would be cautious. I would wait to let it get down into that 60 level. I don't think we'd just tick the overnight low and run. I think we could definitely get down through it, give you a flush, get some people involved in shorts, and then pop up, like I said, down to 60, 68. 68 is still not a terrible area, which is not too deep below here. So anywhere from 68 to 60, 64, and then obviously down into that 27 level. 27 should be the ultimate low of the day. If it does get through this level and kind of continue on, if you're somebody looking to play a flush, play a breakdown, if that's your strategy, if it cracks this level here with NVIDIA failing 900, then you may get that rotation down to the overnight low. Once you get the rotation down to the overnight low, if you break it with some sort of volume, some force, there's not a heavy tilt to the downside. Delta's acting in your favor. You start to see, larger sellers coming in. Then potentially that goes down to 27, because this would be technically a failure of the opening range, right, as well. But it is the bottom of value. Point of control is down here as well. There's a lot of confluences down there that may draw price, but also at the same time could just continue to grind straight upside, and we don't take any trades until we get above, previous day lows, above this 72 level. This is going to be a very important level as well, right? So there's a draw above and there's a draw below. It's just a matter of which way it does decide to go. Think through your plan, have an idea of what you want to do when it gets to your areas, and avoid something about the middle of the range here. Talk it out, helping myself a lot today. I'm going to try and talk through the psychology of it as much as I can, because of just how poorly I executed. Honestly, Monday I didn't execute that bad. I didn't get follow through on certain moves and should have recognized it and just shut it down probably after like the first couple of attempts at certain levels. I also just went against what my write-up was, right? My write-up on Sunday night that I released, that's in the alerts if you want it. If you're in YouTube, it's on the the description of the video. I said if we do gap up above that 172 level, the 18,027 level, and hold above it for the open on Monday, then likely the bullishness comes in and brings us to 172. That exact move happened, but I just kind of diddled in the middle, played with some of the levels, and just kind of like went against my gut feeling of it's probably bullish. It's probably going to grind up at least to that next level, which it did. And then yesterday we had good ideas early. We were very patient early. We did everything we could to kind of just stay slightly green, and then we went into FOMO mode, I guess you would call it, even though I didn't really feel FOMO on it. I just thought that the levels were going to get play, and I just continued to chop myself up a bit until I locked myself out, and then the move happened that we thought was going to happen. So it's really just kind of being patient, allowing these levels to play out, getting to your point of like it has to happen now or it's not going to happen, and execute appropriately, right? So also yesterday, I don't know if it was an issue with just me or if TradeCaster got down at some point for everybody. It was about I think it was just before 11. It was like 10 something where I just could not, I couldn't see anything on TradeCaster, and then everybody disappeared. It's nice to see everybody coming back in organically as well, because I started the day with 0 again. I know sometimes there's like a lingering effect of people who come into the chat and stay in or they don't or whatnot. But I'm just I appreciate everybody coming in every day and getting into here and listening to me babble on about whatever I'm babbling on about. Righty. Still, like I said, I'm doing my best to not execute until I get my levels, right? This idea up into 30, I said 30 is probably an interesting area. So we're right at 30 right now. If it breaks through 30, probably expect some orders, which kind of just got filled at 31. A 21 lot, 14, 15, a 50 lot. So probably somebody of a bigger size there as well on the bid. I think up into VWAP, right? That's another target. If we could get up through VWAP, then a break of the previous day low is going to be an interesting level to see if we accept or reject like we did pre-market around like 7 o'clock, right? If we broke down that previous day low, tested it, broke down, tested it, and then completely melted off from there. So are we going to get the liquidity that we got here for a sell, or is this going to now break, act as support, and continue to run on? So if we do get to this previous day low, I want price to force me to tell me what to do around that level. I don't want to just execute, enter, and go. Realistically, I was looking to try and get long. This was the idea for the day, but we never got that last little piece down to the low. The only other thing I could have thought is maybe that this level down here, that 730 level, could have been the important breakout point, right? You could see obviously tried, failed, tried, and then once it did, that's where that grind up happened, right? So, that's just kind of up to you to see that kind of move if that's your play. But I had to adjust my level to being this is still an hour pre-market open, so I have to use that as that low of the overnight low. And it's funny because I call it the overnight low for the futures. It's not technically the overnight. It's just a constant open 23 hours of the day contract, and that overnight is only for 1 hour, and it's when the market's closed. So I use it as pre-market levels after the New York session if you're out of the country, right? No trades for me, but that beautiful move to the VWAP was very, very nice. Hopefully somebody made some money today so far. If not, I'm glad you stayed out. Cash is king sometimes. Fueling our adventure with the Day Trading Coffee Co. Scalpers Delight Dark Roast. As always, that's my favorite roast. We tend to bounce around here and there, but I'm a dark roast kind of guy. I started out with my short squeeze espresso. There's your short squeeze, so that's probably why. The espresso came in, hit in hard, and ran us to the high side. So now we're watching to see if markets will make some sort of decision here at VWAP. But you could see how this trend line it got tighter, held. Then you got that pop off here. We are now up into that 43 level with a VWAP. You can see we had some breakdown there as well prior. I don't know if you are a VWAP enterer, if you use VWAP as an entry. I use VWAP as a target. And then I also used VWAP, this yellow line here, if you're not familiar, VWAP. I used it as like I said, I use it as a target for a fade from my levels, right? So because you could use this, like if my entry would have been triggered, that's a good 67 points, which is not a bad little move. And then you could continue to use it as your stop for a further continuance, right? That's how I use it to trail. If I could get to VWAP, I trail to it, and then as it goes up, I'll trail through VWAP, right? But VWAP, volume average weighted price for the day's session, right? So it's all the way back to when the session opened. And I use it as a target. Some people use it as an entry. So now, like I said, I want to see what this previous day low, this 172 purple zone here, is going to tell me. This is a straight up 30-minute candle, right? Nothing here has told us that you need to sell. This is all buy. Larger sell. Larger orders got filled at 20. Larger orders got filled at 30, right? I told you 30 was going to be an important level to be interested in. Obviously, once that 30 level hit, that was that explosive push to the VWAP. Now we're popping back up into previous day low. If we could accept into the previous day's levels, you would expect a push into 80, maybe a flush of the low, and then a rotation back through 72 to give you the push up into what we consider that overnight high. So that would be the goal here. I would look for that entry because we are above VWAP. It would be a bullishness, right? We're over the VWAP. We're looking to see if it'll start to curl up and act as a support. That would be the interesting part about VWAP. I use VWAP as a target, like I said, but I also use it as a confluence for if one of my levels are close to it, and I'm going to use them as an entry, the direction I want to take price has to be dictated by VWAP, right? So if we're above VWAP, if this previous day low is above VWAP, then I can take it to the long side, right? If it's tight, if it gets in there and gets in there tight. If that, let's say I wanted to get short through this 40 level, if 40 was my level, if VWAP's just above it, I could use that as a short opportunity. If VWAP is below that 40 level, let's say I wanted to get in at 45, I can't enter because that VWAP is going to act as support right below it, if that makes any sense. So I do use VWAP for multiple reasons, and most of the time it's not to enter at or around it. It's just to use it in a directional bias and to keep me either in or out of a level when I'm close by, right? So that's just the thought process, kind of a little bit of a quick VWAP lesson for you on how I use it and how some other people use it, right? Some other people use it as a breakout support. Go. I am going to be interested around 72. 72 is my key level, right? That's 72.50. If you go up to what I posted, it's the first set of levels in the chat here. You can see 72.50 is that key breakdown point. So I don't use Bookmap, but on my Quant Tower, we have what is called DOM Surface. Where is it? I never can find it. I got to set it as a, I think it's this. There we go. I use this. And I set my level to 100 levels. And I use this for order flow. It's just like Bookmap, but it is futures. Obviously, it's just part of Quant Tower. So I watch this for larger orders, larger resting orders. I use it sometimes, depending on where I'm at, what I'm looking at. I use it for larger resting orders. So you can see there's a 50 lot sitting up there that kind of flashes its hand, comes in, comes out, 20 lots. You know, these are bigger size orders. Any size, any of these bubbles that get filled that are bigger, it just kind of shows you the size. So on Quant Tower, I pay $35 a month for my level 2s, but I pay for everything. I pay for depth, like that's my level 2 package for every market. So in case I wanted to start trading something else, It's not just CME data; it's everything. So, not a terrible. I mean, it's worth the 35 to get all of my depth of markets and everything I want, right? I like Quantower for futures. It's where I have my personal brokerage on. And I also have used it for Top Step. So if you do like Top Step and you want to just trade off of a platform instead of Top Step X, they're just offering good deals on Top Step X right now. If you are interested in taking a combine or something like that, just let me know. I'll send you the link that I have. I don't think it has many discounts, but they are running a Top Step X deal where it's $20 for a 50K combine. You can't beat that, right? Just $20, 50K. It gives you the opportunity to trade and make some money here. I've already pulled $800 out of this account from withdrawal. So if you think of it that way, this one actually cost me $4 because I was in like the beta test or whatever. So, I paid $4.50 to make $800. The return on investment there is obviously key. I've paid tons of money to Top Step for accounts. I'm probably if I just count that withdrawal a little bit behind, but still in good shape to get another withdrawal. I only need one more $200 a day, but I am going to build this buffer back up before I do take that withdrawal. So let's just watch this level, see if we can get up through that previous day low. I want to see the previous day low get wicked if I'm going to try it short quick, like a quick short base hit type deal, just to see if that 72 will get wicked and then a rotate down. It's really just based on the way price is going to act. It would be nice if it holds this support all the way up and through 72, and the time that it breaks this trend line is up over that 72 level, because that would be really key for me to take that to the short side, right? That would just add an extra layer of confidence. If we get up over 72 and tilt gets like in the 70s, 80s, that's a really good sign of retail getting long at a point where I think the institutional type trader is looking to get short. 54 lot there at 66. What's up here at 70? 72. We got 60 lots. There's a big red guy here. 80 lots. 80. Flashing it. So he's flashing a sell at 74. So there's a up in the 70s. There's I think maybe up into 80 is a nice little wick of that area. That'd be great. I can't just take the short right off of here. I got to wait for some sort of confirmation. Tilt's still 50-50. Delta's still pushing high side. Still want this Delta to kind of give me some more indication. That's a stronger Delta push. Price is not playing the same as Delta, so there is that slight deviation. But I think that we do get above 72. If we can wick it, give a hard wick, that's a nice push, maybe into 80. I need to maybe chop a little bit here. This is nice. I'm not opposed to shorting that. I just want to see maybe a little bit of a Delta divergence to come in, right? Price is diverging from Delta. So price is trying to hold down. Delta is trying to push up. So there are buyers hitting the bid above this level. Are they retail buyers or are they institutional buyers is the question. And then if you're talking about that book map type approach, as I mentioned, there's a guy right here at 74 that keeps flashing like a larger lot size. So 74, it probably got filled already, to be honest. But there was another flash. So maybe it gives him one more wick off. I wouldn't hate shorting through this. But now we have this support right here behind us. So that's tighter into there. I need one more push up. It's got to get above that previous day low one more time for it to give me that. But that was a really nice wick to 72. Do I trust this breakdown here, or I'm going to wait? We're very close to VWAP for that to be, maybe VWAP acts as support. We get another push to the high side, then we sell. This wick test might just get tested again. And it's also 3 minutes till 9. So if I'm going to be super strict to my rules today, I'm going to not trade until this hourly closes, right? If this 30-minute closes below 72, then we're really convinced that this previous day low may hold as resistance, at least for the time being. and then we could rotate it back down. If it goes right now, unfortunately, according to my rules, for another 2 minutes, I can't enter any sort of trade right now because I want to wait for that 30-minute, that hourly close to see what happens with this candle. A lot of times at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern, you're going to get some manipulation moves. Also, possibly the number that comes out, whatever it is, some random number, wholesale inventories. If that decides to be an algo whip, it may wick the high to just get some people involved and then melt off. Or it may just continue on, right? So this is what I like to say. I need to see some confluence at my areas of interest. The fact that it went short already on the tilt tells me maybe it's not quite ready. Maybe it wants one more test to the high side. If it does get heavy now, it's fine. Like I said, I have to wait till the hourly close. I also want to see what happens with Delta. Delta is getting heavier. Price is trying to get heavier. You know, that's a really nice Delta push. But also at the same time, price is rejecting that level. So I'm going to watch, see if we can get one more wick off high on this 72. A secondary wick of 72 after 9 o'clock would be really helpful for me here to have a lot of confidence to be able to fade this level. NVIDIA is pushing high side too, so I'm not sold on selling because of NVIDIA being the main driver of this market until it's not. All right, Microsoft's pushing up, downside, Apple's still pushing down, NVIDIA still pushing higher, right? So Microsoft, NVIDIA. I'm going to throw Microsoft on here. We closed below 72, so that's a good sign. Let's see if this will give me that added confluence to break through this level. But I want to see it get up over there one more time. NVIDIA selling. Can we break through this 60? And inline inventories. All right, so now if that wick 72, I will look to say sell one here. Delta is popping a little. Not playing the new high in price, not a new high in Delta. There's my little bit of a divergence. So if we do get this wick here, I think a break below this candle gives us a sell side move. If it doesn't, if it holds this time, wait for a push up into over 80, holding 80, and then rotate through 72, holding 72 to rotate higher. But I think if we can fail this level here, we can get down to VWAP and then hopefully down to the low again. That would be the ideal situation for me. I'm just going to let it try and do its thing here, see if we can get in filled below this candle. And then if we get the crack of that. Yeah, she is strong, but we're at a key level. We're at my zone. I got my strategy rolling. Delta divergence here. Everything kind of lining up to my 72 level. Everything here. This was the flush point from the overnight session. So if it's going to flush again, maybe it flushes now because it got some orders involved to the long side. So if this previous day low cracks, I'm going to say that we do get to at least a VWAP. And then from VWAP, we go to be a little bit lower. I like this short. NVIDIA should sell here. We should get heavy quick if we do get in. There's that fill. Risk to the high there. We're going to get in with the old sirens here. See if the sirens will run us down to the downside. We were very patient. We waited for our level to play. We had everything kind of play out exactly how we were expecting it to as far as why it would sell from here. If it now rips to the high side, then it is what it is, right? I just had to get in based on my strategy, based on I wicked it once, wicked it twice, failed it. It's a 72 level. It's the previous day low. It was overall the reason why I got in, was good. So if I get wicked out, it is what it is. I'll just kind of be really patient for the rest of the day if it doesn't go. But it looks like it wants to go here. It looks like it wants to get heavy. If we could get heavy, get down to VWAP, we'll go to even, and then hopefully we can get through VWAP. That would be ideal. Come on, get heavy here. I don't like this book map up just because I want to see my Delta. Delta is pretty heavy. Price is trying to reject it, but I think Delta wants to go to the downside. Maybe it wicks us out and then goes. I may try a second shot at it short if it wicks me out. Our risk is 250. It's just over this candle here. 245 technically. We're just playing. If it's a strong day and we're just gonna fight the strength, and so be it. But like I said, this is the reason why I got in, was the strategy called for it. I have to take this trade 10 out of 10 times. So we got to see what happens from here at 72, if it's gonna hold or not. It looks like it wants to push up over 72 at this point. Nvidia is getting strong. There's a heaviness. Come on, get heavy. It's popping out. It's gonna stop us out. And we're stopped there for a full loser. 0 for 1 on it, sort of strong. There's that strength through. Nvidia just popped the high of the day. Can't be mad at that. Have to take that trade 10 out of 10 times. You are seeing a diminishing delta and price pushing upside. Russell's pushing down. I will take this entry one more time. And if it doesn't go here, then I will be done for the day. Just totally, completely. I'm just going to try it again. If it fails this previous day low here, that could be that last little wick off top. I'll let it happen. If it doesn't go, like I said, 0 for 2 on it, then we're just, that's fine. This is the reason why. Price is increasing, delta is decreasing. This is your divergence. This is our strategy. This is why I will be willing to take a secondary attempt at a move like that, right? Also, value area high, porting controls down here. Lots of reasons that Magnet wants to come down into at least VWAP, potentially beyond that. S&P's at VWAP. If S&P cracks VWAP, then maybe we rotate this well below here. Nvidia still on highs. I want Nvidia to break down, but Nvidia is still strong, so possibly going to keep us up over that 72 level. The diminishing delta is there. If delta pops here, then potentially this price will go up into that 200 level. If it does that, then we're just going to wait for that next level to kind of fail. The 224 is the next overhead there, but overnight high is 216. I think this is grabbing liquidity here at 72. Nvidia is still just straight to the upside. Microsoft pushing up as well. The 409.86 is that next resistance for Microsoft. So the strategy called for it. Had to take that shot at that first one. You know, we're kind of just in a losing streak. It is what it is. It happens. But realistically, the levels do work, and this is the type of setup that we like to see on that. And there's heavier price action that's a little bit speeding up. It's really good for me. If this does get through the previous day low, maybe this is the time that it goes with like a straight down type flush movement. Based on that overnight price action, there's a lot of people that want to be short. I guess based on Uber also helping us to the downside. I don't know if Uber is going to help the NQ very much, but gotta love the coffee. Keeps me cool, keeps me even keel. I know some people don't like the jitters. I don't get the jitters. I get focus. I get no headaches. It's nice. Here we're gonna go short again through this previous day low. If it stops us out again, then we'll be done for the day. But I think, reasonably speaking, over this candle here, if it gets back above that, you don't want to be involved anyway, right? Rotate all the way down to the lows. Overnight lows is the ultimate goal. VWAP will be that first area of interest to trail to base hit wise, and then we'll see what happens. Nvidia is now selling. right into that 906 level. Hopefully it could go through that 906. S&P's wicked VWAP. Hopefully it can get through VWAP and hold now and flush VWAP. S&Ps need you to go. Need the NQ to catch up to the VWAP. Price broke that level. Delta helping it out here. S&P's looking to get heavy through that level. That 5202 level is key for the S&Ps. If 5202 goes, then so does the NQ. I'm going to be patient and let this thing play out. It is what it is, right? We have no bearing on what the market does. We could just get ourselves to our setup and then see what happens, right? We only could just do what we can do and then do nothing else, let the market do its thing. If it decides to rip up, then that's on the market for just wanting to be strong, implement Max Pain. I keep clicking the wrong button. I want to see this. Delta firming up a bit. Hopefully we can get through it. That's another instance of Quant Tower here. This does look like it wants to go, but it's just not breaking down. Usually it breaks down pretty quickly. There we go. Does this not feel heavy to anybody else? NVIDIA just cracked through 906, so if NVIDIA could keep getting heavy, then, the S&Ps is holding below VWAP, 5202, acting as support. Hopefully if 5202 could break, then we could get this NQ to break down to VWAP. As I mentioned, VWAP first target area. That's where I'll start to trail into it. Then from there, below VWAP, trying to get through. If VWAP gives up, then we do have some free fall down through 145, down into that 100 level. You're short 62.5. All right, let's get it. Hopefully we can get through and down. Like I mentioned, I'm going to just risk above this high of this candle here, that break, this ignition candle through the low. If it pops back into 72, it is what it is as far as that's concerned. But I do think with NVIDIA trying to get through 96, now it's grabbing a bid here. NVIDIA just grabbed a nice little pop. Price gave us a nice pop there. Still Delta not giving, you could see that divergence in Delta, right? Price tried to pop up. Delta said, no, we're not going to give you a pop. We're going to still be selling here. We're selling this. That's the problem with this. I think 72 is the key line in the sand. 72.50. This purple zone here should act as resistance. If it pops above purple, then we're stopped out and we're done for the day. Personally, I'm going to lock myself out. And then I'll trade combines the rest of the day. If not, I think we can get this thing through the low. NVIDIA giving it up. NVIDIA looking to break the low of this candle here. Hopefully we can get through the low of 905.48 on NVIDIA. If NVIDIA gives you a bounce, then we're out. But it's still holding down. 905. 905 needs to go on NVIDIA before we get above 72. See, I'm into the we need to get broken down fast for my moves to happen. But you can see, look at the S&Ps. It looks like it's cracking that 5202, right? It wants to get heavy through that level. If that S&Ps goes right there, it goes through 5202.50, should give you now a nice little push downside, right? That heaviness should be entering into the market here through that level, and we're going to get that follow through on the NQ. So the NQ's lagging a bit. NVIDIA just broke through the 905. Like, everything is heavy. Everything's telling you short side should come in here. If it doesn't play out, then that just is what it is. You have to let this thing do its thing. We're in this because we want it to be short. We didn't quite crack the low here on Delta. There it goes. Delta's going heavier. There's the push. That's a nice push to the downside. Absolutely beautiful. We're going to go just above 72, so we'll buy ourselves another little bit of a trade here if we do want to execute again. Down at the VWAP, we're going to be at break even at 1-to-1 here. We're at even. So whatever happens from now on, actually, we're going to go over the high, the previous day low. So if it comes back over the previous day low, over this big ignition candle, then we'll be out. But we're actually buying ourselves another trade here. I want to see if this will play out for us, right? If we get to VWAP, then we have to trail to VWAP area. That was a really deep move for it to want to rotate back over to highs, right? That's, to me, it shouldn't want to get over that previous day low again. It should want to rotate down at least to VWAP, like I said. First target is VWAP. As we get through this VWAP, I trail my stop right to there. So that's what my strategy calls for. That's what we're going to do if we get there. If we don't get there, then we'll get stopped out for a small loss, and we'll look for another trade. Because this is a slower move, right? I'm usually a fast move, fast trail kind of guy. That's what I tell you guys all the time. Fast move, fast trail. This is not a fast move. This is a little bit of a grinding move where we're using a lot of confluence here. You got your push down. You got your delta acting in your favor. All the other indexes are acting the same, right? NVIDIA is acting the same. I am going to go over this candle here if we can break the low. So if we break the low here, I'll go over this candle. So at least we didn't quite crack the low yet. So I'm waiting for it. Waiting for that crack of the low. The crack of the low should get us to VWAP. There we go. The crack of the low there gives me at least a small win. So at least now I'm managing this position to where I at least have a small winner on it. It's fine if it stops out because I'm just trying my best to trail this in a way that's going to be mitigating my risk at it, letting me take another trade, right? I just want to take another trade. I want to be able to take another good winner. If I can get to VWAP, then we can at least get another good winner. But it looks like it wants to get some bids in here. The bids just don't want to go away. And then if it does this again up into VWAP and fails it, up into 72, fails it again, then we get involved again. But I think we could still hold this, right? Delta still, it tried to pop a little bit, but didn't quite go. Still in our favor. But then we're probably going to get stopped out here, and then it's going to run downside. We're over this structure here. We're over this candle here. I waited for the flush of this low because a flush of that low tells me that the price still wants to get heavy, still wants to go downside. If we can get to VWAP, like I said, we trail tight to VWAP. S&P's is well below VWAP. NQ is still holding above VWAP, relative strength. In NQ, NVIDIA, is... NVIDIA is still below its 905 level, so we're probably gonna get popped out and pop back, and it's gonna go downside when it snaps up. So I think I realistically want to go, we're out, we're flat. So we're flat on that trade. Really didn't get the follow through on it that we want, but still good management for me personally. I'm gonna let it get back up above and then see if we can get a little bit more confidence on a short here. It's gonna go now probably. But I'm not going to hammer in, no FOMO on it. Like I said, I think because that happens, I probably rotate back to my break even anyway. So I'll take $50 off, buy myself one more trade. If we rotate through here, 75% short on the tilt, starting to get heavy short tilty. So if we start to see delta creep up some, the break of this previous day low may indicate that we continue high side. Yeah, that might give an ignition candle to the high side there. Relative strength compared to, I'll go buy over here. Buy over 72. But if this fails the previous day low again, we can go short again. So that's the thing. But S&P's regained VWAP. So looks like liquidity sweep below VWAP. Never quite got the VWAP here. If NVIDIA can hold and break above 906, then this 74 level goes. I will play that other end of it up into that 200 level and see what happens from there. Flipped over a little bit to the other side if it does go through that 72 level, right? I think above 74 gives us this low volume node, then a rotation up to that 200. Russell's creeping up. This could be another try and get people short through the previous day low and then rip its face off to the high side. So that's my idea on the flip if it does get through here. Based on the strength of the day, the relative strength of the day, seems to me that it held above VWAP compared to S&P's. S&P's regained VWAP, now looking to hold it. That's the idea. So the S&P's though is still, that green line is the previous day low. but 72.50 is my line in the sand. So if we crack above it, we'll get long. There's a crack above. I'm going to trail it to 200 if we get up there. If it's going to wick it and get me in, then rotate downside like I normally get, then so be it. But like I said, strong delta push, break of our level, get through a low volume node up to 200 based on the strength of the day. Just, trying not to fight the strength like I normally do. Everything about the way the S&Ps acted tells us that the NQ wants to act very similarly or relatively strong compared to the S&Ps. I'll be out below the previous day low because if it fails it again, it probably wants to rotate out of it, and that's where I'm at. And it's getting heavy again, so... Delta pushed up pretty hard over these levels. So, like I said, I think if this level can hold the 65, 70 level, there's that heaviness. Fuck. Speeding up. Price is speeding up. See if it'll be a whippy action and a run up to the high side or if it's going to melt off from here. This is really what happens when price speeds up like that. You could see it on the time and sales, on the DOM. You can see this is a decision point. Is it going to be a long or a short? We'll find out in probably a second or 2 or 3 or 5. You can see, like I said, price speeding up around the area of interest. It's going to give you either a pop to the high side or a melt off through this previous day low. And hopefully it's a pop because we're in long. I expect this to get up to 200 if it does pop. If it doesn't, then we're going to fail and rotate through VWAP. So through that high, I will go tight. I'm not great at breakouts, but up to 200 will be nice. There's the pop. Let's see if we can get any sort of follow through on it or if I'm going to get stopped out at even. Either way, I bought myself another trade. Free trade. Like I said, I'm not great at breakouts. So hopefully if we get through 80, then I'll trail up to 80. I don't know if you heard how I managed the way I managed my position, but if you go back and rewind, you'll definitely be able to hear why I trailed the way I did in that position there, that short. So let's see if I could get this to go through 80 before I move my stop up. I'm going to move my stop to 80 if I get through 80, because through 80 I think gives us a pop, but there's a stop out probably. Breakout. I'm terrible at these, holding these, because I can't. But relative strength, like I said, relative strength came in. I think if we can get up through this, get to the overnight highs, would be nice. 80 is always key. I'll leave it there. If it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's just how these trades work, right? 80 twice, reject. 80 twice, reject. NVIDIA over its level, so it should continue on. There we go. Get up. As we approach 200, it'll be nice to see if this will go up through to, like I said, 80s are key levels. So right below that at 79, buying ourselves another trade. Let's see if we can continue this on through up to 200 is my, like I said, that first idea. 200, I'll start to get tight. I'm going to get tight underneath that. I don't care. I'll take that money and run. Like I said, 200 will be the ideal first target. If we get to 2, I'm going to trail it super tight to 2. NVIDIA looking to go stronger. If this is going to be a wick off top, then I'm going to get stopped out, right? But I said Delta was acting in our favor, helping this confirmation go. I think 80 should act as a, it's a low volume area. We're up at 190. There we go, up into 192. We shouldn't get below 180 now. As we approach 200, like I said, 200 is probably that magnet area. As we approach 200, I'll start to trail a little tighter. S&Ps broke high of the day. Hopefully it can continue on now. Help us all the way up to that overnight high would be the goal, right? If we get up to 200, I'm going to try and go candle to candle here. I would like to get it to 200 beforehand. There we go. 95, 96. All right. Securing 280 on this trade, at least getting us red to green. Hopefully we don't get below this candle. I would like to trail this a bit better, but breakouts, I'm just going to take my 280 bucks, right? And go, but hopefully I can get up into that overnight high. Previous day high, I would like that. So as we approach 200, like I said, we're going to get tighter to that candle and then just continue to move on, right? That's double the money we have right now. I'm going to go to that wick. Alrighty. Very nice call on this break of the 72 to the high side. That's what I like to see. We wanted the failure down below, didn't get the complete failure, saw that it was going to fail to break down, and we are playing the continuation to the high side now. Let's see if this will super squeeze here. Securing ourselves 395 on this as we approach that 200, right? We ticked 200 to the tick. Now we're probably going to get stopped out. I'm giving back, obviously, some of that. Right? There we go. Went from red to green, up 191. That's a great start for the day. I am not going to execute now in the middle of this range, looking to see if that overnight high gets back, right? So we went red to green. We took one loser at 245. Wanted to fade that level, take that shot 10 out of 10 times. Took it a second time, trailed it out for 50 bucks. Saw that the relative strength was still holding. Then we flipped along above that 72 level, expecting to tag 200, which we just did. We tagged 200 and failed it. Likely, I could have gave it a little bit more room, let it breathe down to 80, and saw that rotation up to the overnight high. So that's up to you. I'm going to take my hits as they come and accept some of these, especially on breakouts, since I'm not really good at the continuation type move. I'm more of a mean reversion player, right? So as we approach this overnight high, I'll watch for my mean reversion strategy to see if I can rotate back down to VWAP. That's just on my, radar. And a lot of the confluence up there, one standard deviation from VWAP, we got 224 level. That was the breakdown level yesterday. Breakout level. It was a breakdown and a breakout. So a lot of confluence at that 224. The overnight high is here at 218. So I think maybe we could push into 224 and then see what happens from there. So watch that 216 to 224 level up at even to 230. See if we can get a delta divergence and a failure of the overnight high back to VWAP would be my play there. So overall, like I said, good little red to green. I'm very happy with the way we've executed so far today. Very patient, waiting for our levels, calling it out as we see it, trailing it. Obviously, we're at 200. So if you would have took that trade, I got stopped out at 193.75. 193.75 was where I got stopped out. So that's 7 points, that I gave back because I would have trailed it right up into 200. You might wonder why I just trail and not set a take profit. Well, because it could just rock it off and I could just trail as I want based on structure to maximize my gain out of something like this. For me, though, a deeper pullback from 200 could have happened, so I just went right to 193, which is the top of that candle, middle of that candle there. Just kind of what it is. Jofi, hopefully you caught something. I know you were stopped out. Hopefully it wasn't an oversized loss. Hopefully it was good. Would have been stopped out here anyway if I waited for that next break. Well, I figured you didn't catch long because you got stopped on the short, but hopefully it wasn't an oversized loss. Hopefully you still have bullets for some moves coming forward. I think if Microsoft could get us up to 412, and NVIDIA, if it does push up into 915 and we get up into the overnight high, up into 224, 225, if we get into this range when those things, hindsight is a beautiful thing. Like yesterday, I could have made a shit ton of money, but instead I lost $1,000 based on what I saw, once I was clear a bit. Looking to just wait now for this overnight high level to come into play. with the way this momentum is coming in, I think overnight highs do come into play. If it fails at 200, we will watch that previous day low again to see if that will fail us. If we get back to this previous day low and the 72 level, VWAP probably will be up here at that time. So it'll give you that confluence to short through the previous day low if that comes into play. I'm not sure if it will. I mean, we kind of have a long ways to go to get back there. I would like to see this push up over that overnight high, like I said, into 224. If we get to that 224, 225, 230 level, and I could get Microsoft into 412 or even, just over this pre-market high at 411. So anywhere from 411 to 412. And then NVIDIA does whatever it wants, but overhead resistance on NVIDIA is 915.82 up to 918.13. So if we can get those names to kind of go up into those levels, then potentially while we're over here, then the failure of those overnight highs make more sense because then those bigger names have a good reason to kind of turn around at that spot. So we caught that move there. We caught this move here. Overall, we got stopped on this one at first. One loss, one small win, and then one good win here for just shy of 400, right? So we could have just caught one of these. That's that. But 191, can't be mad at it. Red to green, so now it's really very picky time. You get this tilt over the overnight high to come up into like 80%. I would short it probably right off the jump. I don't think we're going to get that though. You can see that 224, that one standard deviation from VWAP, a lot of confidence there. Something about this tells me a story as well. It uses it as a breakdown. For some reason, I've been seeing that this does act as support again back on the other end of the breakdown, retrace, and then it could act as an area of interest coming downside in the future. So I'm going to be mindful of this. I'm going to leave it there for now. Just because of the way it did act here, it broke down, retested it, broke down from it, came back. Now it's using it as support again. I will watch it, at this 190, 200 level. All right, so I hope you understand the reasoning why this long I took as well. I'll mention it. If you're new here, you know it. If you're not new here, you know it already because I talk about it all the time. I'm not really the top of the line, best breakout trend follower out there. So if that's what you're looking for, I'm not that guy. However, I will play my levels to the end of, rotating it to the next key level. So if I could get a previous day low with confluence with a major structure level, this purple zone to me was a major structure level that's 72, the 172.50. That crack of that should have led to the overnight high. And so now we're approaching that level to where now I would be interested in a fade back to VWAP, but I have to see if I can get a setup now, right? Just because I get to my levels doesn't mean I look for just an immediate limit order in and go, right? Because this is too strong to be looking to just short right off the jump, right? I don't believe in that. I think you get run over doing that more times than not. So waiting for some sort of setup where maybe I get a push up into 224, like I said. If it never gets to this level, I can't attack it, right? But a push up into 224, a failure of it maybe once, and then you look to try and wick the high again, and then you get a delta divergence, right? This is what I was mentioning here. The reason why I took the short here as well, you had a wick of the high once, twice, but then you got diminishing delta here. So delta was saying that price did not want to go yet. Once we did crack the level, you finally did come in. But you just didn't get the follow through on it because some of these names are relatively strong. The Mag 7 names like NVIDIA, like Microsoft, they're relatively strong. So to me, it's just not gonna hold, right? So I want this pre-market high for Microsoft to hold at 411. NVIDIA is failing. My S&Ps is failing as well, but I need another wick off. If this can happen here, this is beautiful. I like this. I like this to crack. However, I want to see it break the overnight high. So this false breakdown first, get some shorts involved, pop the overnight high, grab the liquidity from over the overnight high, tell people that they're going to play a breakout, and then fail the breakout. That's what I do. I'm a failed breakout trader. Breakouts fail about 80% of the time, if I'm not mistaken. So wait for that break, that secondary wick off, get people involved long, get this tilt to flip to the green, the long side, people getting FOMO on trying to catch a high breakout. Then look to rotate it down with the delta divergence, which is not coming at the moment. It's acting pretty much the same. Price broke the high, delta broke the high. Price coming down into the lows, delta coming down into the lows. I expect this to act as support to push up in, like I said, to that high. If it breaks here and goes, just don't have a trade. But I'm not going to take that because it's not an A+, because it's not at my level yet. I don't know if anybody has any questions about the way that strategy kind of works or just utilizing levels in general, but don't be afraid to ask it. Try and keep yourself out of just hammering in and hammering out of stuff. Just let me know if it makes sense. Interaction is always good. I encourage it. I'm obviously not the, guru type. I don't really pretend to know everything. I'm not going to tell you I do. I don't think anybody knows everything about trading. This is ridiculous. I just want to provide any sort of value that I can on a day-to-day basis. All right, so I'll go over that purple zone. So the purple zone, for you, I'm going to switch. So if you scroll up in the chat all the way up to 820, I posted a picture, okay? It's a screenshot of my longer-term NQ chart. So if you want to follow along there, you can. If not, if you have TradingView, run over to there. I'm going to switch over to that chart right now. So we're going to switch over to that chart. Let me just make sure I'm on the right one. Okay. I like it, Jofi. I like it. All right. I'm going to go over how I get my levels. I'm going to do this in a class type setting once, once we announce what we're doing. But all right. So here are my levels, right? These yellow dashed lines are my levels, Astra, right? So every major key structure level I draw up long term. So you can see I have a lot of things like priced into these charts. How I go about doing what I do is as things happen, I do this on a 30-minute. As things happen, either financial number releases such as PMI, global economic events such as like war stuff. Where do I have it? This is a note for price rejecting overnight high and overnight low on open. Talking about lows of the day. This one here says Israel threatens retaliation. And that kind of led to that dump. Then you get like Iran not doing stuff, explosions in Iran here, right? So a lot of what I do is I price in macroeconomic fundamental data, right? And then I use these key structures, swing high and swing lows, based on a lot of those information that I get. And I chart these things out very long term. Let's see if I have how far out. This is pretty much the highs, right? So we're at all-time highs. As we're at these levels, I use intraday 30-minute candles as major structure points, and I draw them up. As I get out of these zones, I'll just delete the whole chart. And then I'll go back and I'll revisit it, and I'll draw up these dotted yellow lines just to keep my chart pretty clean, right? So that, which one? The purple zone currently is that 172 level. So 172, if we look back, this is right around March of 2024. Okay, we rolled contracts here. So we rolled from the March contract to the June contract. And when we did do that roll, this is the continuous futures contract. So it doesn't adjust based on what contract we are. It just says, okay, now we're in the June. We're going to start using the June prices. So that's how futures work, right? Futures is contract based. With the equity futures, they're quarterly. So we are going to roll at the end of June, right? I believe. Yeah. So We rolled here, and the 172 level is the one I'm looking for. 172, 17172. 18172 is here. So after the roll or pre-roll, we had a very strong support level here at that 172.75. We gapped up into the highs, rotated back down, used that 172 level here again as support, again here as support, again here as support, here. And then as we came back into it again, we approached it once, twice. We used it as a flush point. We bounced here. We bounced here. We used it as a major level of support here. You can see right here in this area, a lot of congestion right on that 172 level. Here again, bounce point and then a flush. We flushed it, and now we've left it alone for a long time. Now that we've come back to it, you can see we approached this level here. This is on the 4-hour. I usually use the 30-minute because I get a lot more information out of the 30-minute on these levels, right? As we approach this 172, you get that wick right there. A lot of real big confluence at this level. And then even if you go down on lower time frames, you'll see more price action at it, right? So if we use this level, you see we gapped above it. Then we started to use this as support, rotate right to it. And as we get to 172, support, 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 flush point. If we can't hold this flush point, then the next likely thing to happen is that it rotates and accepts above it and looks to seek liquidity at that next level of interest, which in my eyes is that 277 level overhead. Although today it may not get there, right? I said probably by end of the week, maybe we get to 277 if you read my write-up. But right now we're running into that overnight high area, right, where we had a ton of resistance. So now if we do reject that overnight high, my ideal spot of interest where it may either bounce or break is that 172 level, right? So that's what that purple zone is. If you go over to this chart here, that purple zone is that 172 level. And I make it a zone for like an intraday trading because you can see wick, 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 wick. You know, there's bodies here. Realistically, the number is 172.50. So I left it there, right? That's the high of this candle here, 172.50. The breakout point is right just above it. And I just use it as a zone. And I draw it up here just so you could visualize it because I have it on my screen just off to the side somewhere else. So pretty much this is more streaming purposes than anything else as I talk through it. Hopefully that helps you, Astra. Let me know if it did or did not, or if you need to go a little deeper into how I get my levels. Realistically, if you could do stuff like that, it's going to help you longer term, you know, find like biases for the week or biases for the time where we're at, right? Price is going to always return back to areas where it was executed a bunch, right? So that's what we're looking to see. Nvidia looking to creep up a little bit, not like the same as the S&P, as the equities futures, but if we crack this high, we do have a wick up to 222. Like I said, 222, 224. I would like to see that the wick go up into 224. Whatever happens, happens, Jofi. That's right. The market does whatever it wants, whenever it wants. You're short from 275, 0275. What is your stop on it, though? Is it the overnight high? Because that's about to get taken out. I think up to 224, we probably have resistance up there. Hopefully that's just a failed breakout here. If I can get this tilt up 75%, 1775. I think you may get wicked. Hopefully not. But that's my short idea there. Nvidia is not going strong. This is 60% long. 942 crude inventories came out at 930, which does not affect us at all. But it is a negative. And then EIA gasoline exchange is a glut. So a conflicting information there. When we're fighting some of these, that's why I wait for these levels, right? I wait for these levels. When I'm like Monday and Tuesday this week, I did not wait for my levels. I didn't. I did, and then I didn't, right? I waited for them, and then I decided that I was not going to trade around them. If you wait for your levels to come in, it gives you a bit tighter of a reason, and then you can manage your risk a little bit better. Take your 10 points, and then move on. This is too strong for me currently. I still want to see some sort of delta push. Maybe, like I said, I hate for it to happen for Jofi, or if you just stopped anyway, because you're up through 17 now. Now that you're out, I think up to 224. I wanted to go to 224. I mean, we do have that band up here well above at 240, so could even run into that 240, especially with how strong Delta's pushing up. So we do have buyers stepping in here at this level, 240. And as I mentioned, that purple zone above, I drew it up there. Astra for everybody. Hell yeah, good job. Zuka-san, I'm glad you had a bounce back day, just like I'm trying to have a bounce back day. It's just one day at a time. We trade for today, we trade for tomorrow, as long as your account's there. We just keep executing according to our plan. Long term, everything's going to play out. So I'm glad you were able to have a nice little bounce back day. I don't know where I don't use EMAs, so I have no idea where that is. Probably down here somewhere. I hope that some of what I've talked about helps some people, and then that's all I can do, right? Every day, just try to provide a little tidbits of information, keep a nice little, keep you from being lonely, trading by yourself, and you could hear my New York accent muted out here in Texas a bit, but it's still there. Sometimes it'll come out with a little bit of excitement, so you'll get a little bit of the, how you doing, every once in a while, all right? But good work, Zuka-san. Jofi, sorry that trade didn't work out. Unfortunately, I think just the market is a bit bullish today. However, I do feel as if something is coming with our short ideas soon. It's just, will I get a chance to execute on it or not? I need that delta divergence. I need this tilt to get super heavy long. I need price to get up to 224. And then, yeah, really, that's the biggest thing. If you start to see a trending type market, I did mention earlier, I did post the screenshot that these levels are pretty extended from each other. Overnight low, previous day low, overnight high, previous day high, kind of leads this to being the idea that that previous day high wants to come into play. The overnight high getting pushed into and now failing to break out is interesting to me. I do want to see another push down into here, then a wick off high up into 224, 230, and then I could short this overnight high. That's really my ideal situation here for me to want to risk the gains that I have for the day, especially after being on a losing streak, looking to try and execute smart and come out on the day with a win, and then build on that win tomorrow, and then build on that win Friday, and then build on that win Monday, right? That's just kind of all I can do here, is just go day in, day out, and just find the places where I'm super interested in. If this goes and you get to that previous day high, I think that purple zone gets tagged. I think 277 has to come in today if it does continue upside. If we just continue to stair step straight up, then potentially that 277 comes. For me to not take what I got out of that would have been silly, right? I executed exactly to what I thought should happen to this, and then obviously it did happen. Not really talking this out, to say anything, just kind of talk myself into what I did to kind of review it a little. Based on the way it was accelerating up, could have pulled back easily down in and gave back a lot of the profits, and then failed it again. So just playing the breakout strategy idea there, going and catching 400, risking not even 200, that's a nice little 2-to-1 catch. Can't be mad about that. Overall, like I said, I just want to see this go. Checking the messages, making sure everything is good. If you are on YouTube, click the link in the chat for the Tradecaster. If you are watching YouTube, hit the like, comment, do anything, get that algorithm out there so I could continue to spread the good word of trading futures and funded accounts and everything like that. So realistically, we are waiting to see if this now 224 got hit. I think with that upper band kind of lingering overhead, I think we probably tagged that upper band. We do have this value area high right here at 228. So we just wicked that. That 240 level wants to come into play. It's amazing how this is working here. This longer term, like it's just kind of messing with this trend line. All right, Jofi, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be here bright and early as always. Look at that push to that overnight high here on the S&Ps. Nvidia looking to pull up. Looks like we kind of do want to push up into that previous day high. Very strong, very bullish. If I had developed a trend following strategy that I may do in the future, right now it's kind of just not on this account. This account's going to be purely based on that single strategy until that strategy decides not to work. I don't think the strategy didn't work over the last 2 days. I think I didn't execute the strategy properly, so that's on me. That's a personal thing. That's not the strategy not working, right? The strategy worked here. The strategy worked here. Now, as far as waiting for this to kind of come in here, pop down, maybe that's a blow off top, get up, hold the overnight high, hold this trend line, push up into 30 again, because now we've hit that upper band. The upper band there, 224, I mentioned, is that level that could be the flush point, although we do have that high volume node here at 220. And then we have the point of control right down here at 200. So Russell ran into resistance at 2065, and the S&P's running right up into 5218, which could be a turning point here for the S&Ps, because that is that overnight high level, and accepting back into this range down to 5210. If that goes, if 5210 cracks, then 05s come in, and then that's VWAP. You got to see what happens at VWAP. If this overnight high fails, if we can get like a bounce up push and then a failure of the overnight high, I will attempt one short through here to see if I could play my plan how I normally play it. We have 10 minutes till the hourly, so there is still time for me to execute. 5 minutes still left in this hour of my trading. I appreciate everybody coming in every day, all day while I'm here. Just continue to execute. If you are watching this market today, execute according to your plan. Have a plan, and then once it doesn't do what you're thinking, then avoid it. Just stay away from what you're not supposed to be trading. Like I said, yesterday I did that. The day before, I just didn't trade my levels. I just traded outside of my levels, and I can tell you that definitely does not help. Trade your levels. Be smart about your levels. What speaker? Who's coming out? Fed Jefferson at 10. Who's Jefferson? This guy. Yesterday, Kashkari talked and didn't move the market whatsoever. I don't know if Jefferson's even a voting member. Maybe he is, or her. But realistically, I don't have any care what they have to say. They're going to say the same thing that Kashkari said, that there's probably reason to be higher for longer. But if jobs start to slip, then potentially we could get a cut come in. But that's not yet. I don't think that's coming anytime soon. It'll probably come right pre-election time, to be honest, timing-wise, just to get not political. I'm not going to get political, but I think that's what happens. It's not a conspiracy if it's true. It's just going to happen. That's how you can time it. So whenever that next, what is the next rate cut decision after the next one? It'll probably be that one. Maybe they have one in August. What's the rate? This is the FOMC FedWatch tool. This is what we're watching when those Fed speakers speak. Uh, this is for the June meeting. Hold. July. Still believes hold, but more people believe there's a cut. September, right pre-election. More people think that there's going to be a hike. Currently at 525, 550. So more people finally thinking that there's a cut right before, and then November, more likely than not. So I would guess cut in September. That would be my think as far as election season is concerned. November is a little too close to the election, and I think July is still just too. I mean, maybe July or September would be rate cut for me, barring any sort of other information that comes out. Right, everything's always relative. All right, so this is what we watch. You saw that big blow off top here. Well, it's not a blow off top, but a strong delta candle, strong price candle. You want to see price maybe try to make a new high, maybe try and break above this 242 value area high, and you want to see delta try and creep to the lows. If this all is confluent here, though, that 224 level, this little trend line that's kind of been zigzagged up and over and up and over, kind of giving the indication that potentially this overnight high wants to rotate, give some of this back before that final push up to 277, right? We could go straight up all day. I was really interested in the long down here. Excuse me. Sorry. I was interested in the long here at the overnight low. Unfortunately, it never made it. This was my entry criteria here would have been flush to this low, rotate higher, right to VWAP. If there was a way to trail this, I don't think there was any chance I get past 72 with my trails. Realistically, I think if we would have got the same kind of price action, I would have been able to trail close to VWAP. I would have came into VWAP, maybe got stopped out in this area here, potentially running it up to the high. I can't say what I would have done exactly at that time, but NVIDIA giving up 905 again, 906.01. If it does give up at the bottom, NVIDIA gives up 905, then potentially this does give more weight to this overnight high breaking. If that cracks, that goes, the overnight high goes, and then maybe, like I said, down to 72, but probably 200 would be that first target. Heavier on the delta, right there at 224, acting as support. I want to see a pop, then a fail 24, fail 16, then rotate down. That would be a nice little heaviness for me, just to get this to breathe a little bit before it wants to take that next leg to that previous day high. We have accepted into yesterday's range, right? Previous day low, we're middle of yesterday's range. I like the overnight high short personally, probably down to 200, but I would like to see it even get further. But that's really all based on NVIDIA 2 kind of helping us out to the downside. We just broke 224, but if 224 can recover, then it may lead to some buying. You see S&Ps pushing right to that support level too. I am going to get short through this level apparently. Heavy delta holding below 224. I would have my stop over at 224.
Order filled.
We are short. Kind of wanted this to go faster than that. I don't like this. I am willing to risk to the high of that candle. I did mention over 224 is probably that key line in the sand. So that's where I would have probably waited for it, a pop of 224 to fail this again. But if we can sell this through here, then that'd be nice. I really wanted to see S&Ps get deeper through that trend line. NVIDIA kind of holding 906. So unfortunately, that's just not going. If I can get through here again, I'm going to go to break even kind of quick. If I can't get through there, it's going to act as support, and then I'll probably be out anyway over 20. Delta pushing higher, price not. So maybe we can get this thing to go heavier through 20. Hold that 20. I don't want to be in past, 224 is going to be my stop. Come on, get through the low, and then I can get break even. See, that's just sticking to my strategy, like allowing this thing to do its thing. If it does get over 224, then it's, it is what it is. I really wanted to see if this would go initially, right? That flush should have happened kind of quick. If NVIDIA is going to catch a bid, then we're probably going to get stopped out anyway. We're going to be stopped on this over 224. Oh, that was nice. Reject it. Reject it again. How about that? Just flush now that you got up there. Come on now. Push to the downside. You don't want to go up anymore. You want to just melt off the rest of the day. Nah. Looks like it's going to just dance around over here until it wants to go. Kind of just up and down, up and down, up and down. I like this to go fast. Obviously, I'm going to let my stop get tagged. We are going to be even for the day if it doesn't reject 224.
Order filled.
Yeah, we're flat on the day. Flat and all. If it rejects this and then goes down again, then we'll try it one more time. Unfortunately, like I said, I have to shoot my shot at my levels. It is what it is. Still okay on the day. Still in the green slightly. 10:01. I broke a rule there on accident. That was my bad. Does this continue on? Does this strength continue on? I need to see the failure of that level. Okay, I was going to say that's definitely wrong. $224. Let's see if we can reject this 5218 level on the S&Ps. If that rejects again, potentially then that next break of the overnight high does give us that short opportunity, which we will do once again. Price pushed up. Let's see if Delta pushed up. Delta did the same. So price is acting very similar. 224 is that key line in the sand. I think you could see that 224 pushed up. If we can break through this overnight high, I think we can go to the downside a little bit better. Working our best to short our levels based on where we are in the market at the moment. I want NVIDIA to help me out here, start to get sell side through 906 again. if this does wick us in and out, then, you know, it is what it is. I do want to see this thing get heavy quick there. To me, that's a nice lower high. Could lead to a heavier push. You know, breakdown, retest. Then you finally break the level. If you break 224 with some volume, right? I need that level to get broken heavy with the Delta 2. S&P gave me like a double top wick here. I think if we crack this trend line, here we go. Willing to take that risk again to 224 one more time. You can see how heavy it's getting. If you wanted to front run that level, that 224 short from 224 made sense too. But I like the overnight high to either act as support or break. And it looks like it wants to break. Low volume node there. Probably going to get filled here.
Order filled.
There we go. S&P needs to break this to help us out here. That was a nice break, right? You saw the way that broke down. It's unfortunate that the tilt is a little heavy to the downside. To me, that's annoying. I wanted to see this be more of a heavy failure without the tilt to get heavy. If we can get this thing to go, I will get to break even. As we approach down a little bit lower, maybe down into the 208s. If I can get down to 208, I'll go to break even because that gives me a decent risk. You can see that little bit of a gap there. I like that heaviness. There we go, down to 208. I'm at even, so now it's a free trade. Let's see how low we can go. Can we get down to 200, right? That was my first idea, working to 200. I was early on this one. Obviously, you can see secondary touch of this was the right timing, right? This is the correct time. This is a fast move, fast trail type idea. Hopefully, it could get heavy and just never look back. That's really what I'm looking for here. If it does wick this and rotate higher, we're out and we have a small win here on it. But right now, we look like we want to get heavy. If we can get to 200, it could give you a hard bounce, or it could give you a nice flush through 2. So let's just be careful around 2. I'll take my $100 on this over this level there, over that wick. Get heavy, please. Get heavy here. There we go. Get heavy. And we're stopped out there for $85 on that. I didn't get the full flush right away. If it's going to just wick this top here and then rotate down, it's okay too. NVIDIA wicked the bottom here and then didn't go. S&P is looking to creep back up. If we get back up over 224, I will short this level again and see if I can get the follow through one final time. Heavy tilt came in, so maybe that's why, right? People starting to get short, but maybe we try and go back up into that level again, that 224. We do have a low volume node there, so it probably does continue to flush. But I just need to be out because I don't want to lose money on it. I'm going to try and just take my base hit until that double, triple home run comes in play. I want to wick my head over this overnight high and then come back down. Can I get above that overnight high? Give me that wick. Wick some people out at the 220, 224 level, and then give me what I need. A break of 208 I thought would flush us to 200 just based on this previous structure here, but it looks like it's holding that structure. Trying to execute every setup here to try and maximize our ability to make money. I'm looking at some of these other charts. Russell wants to creep up to 2065 again. Don't act like you don't drink a lot of coffee. All right. Let me get a little bit higher. Get up into that 220 again. Wick it. Fail the overnight high one more time. NVIDIA's giving up the ghost. So let's see if it'll get dragged down. I want to get short, but I don't want to get short away from my level. I got stopped out because of just my trail rules. I wanted to get heavy. I didn't let it do it. So it is what it is. I'm not going to chase it. There's the 200 level. Probably going to get tagged right now. 200 got tagged to the wick, to the tick, I should say. Nvidia's starting to get some sell side pressure. Does that wick people in to get them long? That's the question, because it's 77% tilt to the downside. Delta pushing down, heavier, price trying to tick back up. Alrighty. Well, so the idea played out, right? We stopped ourselves out here and then took the win there. Unfortunately, it gave back a little bit, right? But we ended up making, we're up still $86. We're still trying to stay green on the day, looking to take just our A-plus entries here. Definitely could have waited for that retest one more time to catch this breakdown and then go and then wait and try and trail it out. But overall, probably would have been at break even anyway with the way that moved and stopped out. So there's the 200 level again. Nvidia broke through the low. Now looking to rotate to 900. If it gets to 900, see if there's going to be a bounce there. And then that could be what we look for as far as pushing back up into 220 and then see if it'll fail 900 after that. This is exactly what I was looking for. Up to 240. Up to 240. Then come back, retest the value area high, fail that, and then rotate downside. We got it perfectly and stopped ourselves out over this high here. Now we just wait. Let it set up. See if it'll get back up over that overnight high. See if it'll give it follow through or if it's going to give a failure. And then we just wait for the next. I don't think you get anywhere past 277. So staying short from 277 would be huge to me. But I really want this thing to just kind of creep back up to like 224 again and then get me in for a short failure of the overnight high. Because then we could possibly fail 200, right? That'll give you that little bit of a head, a shoulder, a head. I guess that's an inverse. I think we can get up over that level again. That's just me optimistically looking at it. This crack of 200 probably leads us to 172. I don't need to hear them talk. They have nothing good to say. In the midday show stuff. I'll go to Top Step TV. Everybody's short here on.
And then before you know it, you're like, God, I need to get out of this, and then you get out, and you have a loss. But the trade is. It's not a loss. You're wrong with the trade.
That's a 200 bounce potentially. Waiting to see if Nvidia is going to give you a little bit of a rotation back up to like 906. If Nvidia rotates us back to 906, I think price gets back to overnight highs. If we can wick overnight highs, then we can rotate down. This may just lead to that selling coming in and just rotating us down to 72. We'll watch 72 like a hawk and see if we can get another bounce from 72. The VWAP is there. Although I think if we flush that previous day low, that'll give us another indication. Like I said, if VWAP is above it and we break the previous day low, I think that just continues to sell. So I will look to do something around this level potentially. I just got to let price get to those levels and then see what happens. Give me a second. I'm going to use the restroom and I'll come right back. Give me 1 minute. All right, avoiding that 200 level, for me, because that was like a target area, somewhere where I'm going to be interested in some sort of movement to happen. The 900 level wicked off and now is bouncing on NVIDIA. So watch NVIDIA for the bounce off of 900 back to 906. If that does happen, then potentially overnight highs come back into play. If we flush 900 and get down lower for the NVIDIA, I think we do get down to 72. Or if we linger around 900, right? If NVIDIA wants to linger down here around that 900, then potentially we do get this to kind of creep into here and then use this as support to bounce. So I'm going to wait for those levels to give me more of an indication of what I want to do. We are heavier on the tilt, 70% on the tilt there. Yeah. Realistically, this short here was excellent. Just didn't keep myself in. I thought it was a little bit more of a fast move, right? You start to see fast price action come into play here. I stopped myself out at, just past break even, just over the structure level after we broke through here and started to flush. Usually we're able to get a little bit deeper into that push, right? I wanted to get to 200. As we started to approach it, had to trail it a bit. Now we're out, and now obviously you could see there was not really much risk of getting in out of very many trades here. If we go candle by candle, you'd still be in technically just by a little. Just trailed to 200 and then kind of let this thing go. Now you're flushing that low, that previous day low, that previous area of resistance, so you could get a good flush here. Rotate. Delta's still in your favor. It didn't break that low though, so potentially watch it. There is a low volume area here at 180, so a rotation through down to 172 probably comes in without much resistance. This is all like a low volume move here. I think 172 comes, and now we can make our decision here. Is this going to be a bounce, or is this going to be a break and continue to the downside? That's my thought process through what we're doing here. Alrighty. That short idea was beautiful. Just didn't get it to catch, to hold. That's just my my trailing technique didn't allow for it. There's that flush downside, heavier tilt, 71%. Delta still acting in our favor. Let's see what happens at VWAP. See if this 172 down to 165 holds. If that does, give you the wick of the previous day low and you start to get a bounce from that area. That could be a long idea, but if NVIDIA continues to give up 900, I think we flush that previous day low and then we could possibly rotate even down further on our flush, and we can, like I said, I have my targets all the way down here at the overnight low for that overnight high to overnight low rotation. I'm not trying to overdo things today. Maybe this first attempt through the low and the stop out got me a little bit standoffish on the secondary entry, but the second entry was perfect. There's the wick into 72. You can see that magnet, that grab, that right into that level. So now we got to watch, see if we can get any sort of information out of that. This 5205 is previous day low for the S&Ps. So I want to see if 72 holds to get another wick into that VWAP, that previous day low, then I rotate back up. I can't just V-bottom here. I can't look for that. If I can get this tilt to be heavy, that'd be great too. Alrighty. I want to see VWAP get tagged and then possibly look to rotate higher. Wow, that's the bounce right off of 72.50. Beautiful bounce. Obviously, you can see that level playing out to the tick. I want to see it flush, though. To be honest, I can't see this I can't enter on a bounce like that. That's just not what I'm looking for. But I can maybe enter on the flush of the previous day low. If this drags the VWAP over that previous day low, then the break of that previous day low does give me the confidence to push down for another short through that low. But I want to see this get heavy and then fail and then rotate back up. That's my goal here. I need to see Delta give me a divergence or something to tell me otherwise. Otherwise, it seems like it's just going to continue to be heavy. This is a good reason to bounce, though, right? We broke above 72. We're holding 72. If we can hold 72 again, the rotate to 277 comes in. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Market watch, crude oil benchmark. Touches 8-week low. Dow edging up, even if later earnings throw a damp blanket over stock market. Not a lot of great information there. Looking for that next little flush to the previous day low. And then I could see maybe we could take the same long we took before, just for a little bit of a bounce to 200. I'm still being patient, waiting for the levels to play. Yes, 72 is the key level, but I want to see it get to that previous day low, get that flush, get some shorts involved if it's going to be a failure, and then catch the bounce back through it. That'll be my long. Limit my risk to the previous day low and the VWAP, and then go. My targets usually, like I said, from that failed overnight high breakout is that VWAP, and that's, you can see that that's pretty much to a T what went on there. Overall, like I said, that was a really good trade. I trailed out. What are you going to do here? That is what it is. You get trailed out. At least I took some money off the table on it. Just that first attempt at it, I definitely should have waited for that next break, right? Once, twice, third time's a charm. NVIDIA flushing through 900 could lead us to just never come back if we do get through this previous day low. So that's my only concern. I'm going to see what Microsoft's doing. Microsoft's at the highs. Right at 412. NVIDIA at the lows. Microsoft at the highs. Apple creeping up. NVIDIA has been helping me out here. That was another little wick there. Delta is flat. Flat Delta. If I can get price to get deeper, and Delta doesn't give you like a heavy Delta break when you get to that overnight low, right, which is down here. I mean, previous day lows. I'm sorry. Delta is flat. Delta's flat. Delta's flat. Give me a wick to bottom there. Wick that previous day low. Get short, thinking that they're going to get short. Get a heavy tilt. Rotate me right back up, and I'll take that long through the 72 once again for a bounce. I think NVIDIA, if it can, give me that little bit of a fake out to the downside and then rotate back over 900, that'll be a beautiful thing, especially with Microsoft being on highs. There's a nice little push down, push down, push down. Delta's not breaking, which is nice for me. It's just not giving me that last little break to the previous day low. I need to get into that 72, get below 72, get through this level here, develop a little bit of a, wedge type thing, and then we hold and stay in yesterday's range, creating an inside type day, right? don't know if Delta's going to get heavy or not here. I'm watching the Delta push on the lows and price not go. Astra, absolutely. Anytime. If you need anything, always message me here. You can always message me on Instagram at Policing Pips as well. Everything's always the same. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send them out. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day. And hopefully I can maybe catch one more good move. But otherwise, we stream till 11 here. So I'll be on till 11 every day this week. I want this thing to wick that bottom. Wick the bottom. Nvidia is still staying strong, holding that trying to hold 900. Microsoft. I already know my NQ levels, so Nvidia on top, Microsoft on the bottom. A wick of this shows a breakdown, pushes into our purple zone, fail that breakdown, use VWAP as support, and rotate higher. That's what I want to see. I don't think I'll get it, though. It feels like it doesn't want to get there right now. It feels like it's slowed down quite a bit here. Like I said, unfortunately, this is the trade I took and got stopped out on. Why is it different? Oh, it's right here. There we go. I took the short from 19. Should have probably got stopped out where we're at now. $72 is probably that good target. As I approach that, you probably would get stopped at 74. So waiting, watching, seeing what happens here. Could wick down, give us that low, grab some liquidity, push us into the highs. VWAP right here. The way prices slow down so much right at this key structure level tells me that 72 kind of wants to hold. But I want to see it get there. One more time. Microsoft creeping up. Once again, trying to get into that 412 level. Nvidia still holding below 900, but who knows for how much longer. I would like it to get our price down a little lower one more time, one more retest of that previous day low, so I can end up getting a long here, or see if this previous day low, like I said, if this VWAP gets up and above it, then potentially the crack of that previous day low gives us a nice little runner to the downside again. That's just kind of what I'm looking at here as far as the rest of the day is concerned. If I end the day up $80-something, so be it. I'll take a winning day after taking these. I mean, it's not going to put a dent into what I did over the last 2 days, but it just puts me back on a winning streak, puts me back in. Gosh, nice. There's the long idea. Microsoft breaking highs, Nvidia breaking up over 900. Waiting to be patient here. Sorry I didn't have anything to say for the last couple seconds. Just kind of reading and looking at things. I don't have much to go over realistically. Waiting to see if this previous day low will get tagged again for that rotation back. If we break through the overnight high again, I do believe that previous day highs may come back into play. So just be cautious on anything that, trying to short this overnight high again. I think unless it gets up and then fails, lower, like maybe like that 224 level doesn't break, then potentially that overnight high could fail and rotate again. But I don't think that's the case. We can see if this VWAP is going to get right onto that previous day low. That is going to be really interesting for me, depending on how this wants to go. NVIDIA's now creeping lower again. Microsoft wick the high, now rotating back a little bit, pulling back off the high just a touch. We are cracking this low here. That was a failed break to the high side, cracking the bottom end here. Maybe we can get through that low. And then if we fail to break down the previous day low, the buy side through 172 does come in. That is a heavy delta. You can see how delta has really broken to the downside, gotten sellers involved. Hopefully that 80 level flushes. I do want to see 72 come back in, and then we can decide on what we're going to do around that previous day low. If it's going to flush and short it, or are we going to rotate through 72 and go? So that's the question of the day. Mm-hmm. That was a nice little push. Delta was very heavy there, diverging a bit, right? You're getting a higher low in price, but Delta is giving you a lower low. So then possibly that look to break this level again gives you a true move to the high side, right? Because that was the sellers came in heavy and the price didn't do what it actually was doing, right? So you're getting the opposite divergence. But just too far away from that 72 level for me to decide to take that long, right? Wick that high, long. Microsoft now making new highs again. NVIDIA still below 900, so still not strong. And I do think that NVIDIA does have down to 892, although the low for today is 893.69. That's pre-market. Still waiting to see if anything's going to come of this. I'm just, we're in a choppy area right now. It's 10:32. We may start to see some price action movement. However, I don't know if this is going to be the spot where we get it or not. Although, like I said, I see that S&P's is trying to creep up. Microsoft keeps trying to wick the high, but it's in a liquidity zone for me where at any point it could sell off through it. If it does break through that 413, 412.50 top, then potentially rotates completely upside. If it breaks through it and fails, that gives a lot of liquidity for shorts. NVIDIA is still just holding below 900, although it's trying its best to hold up. I don't know if a short through this level continues this on, but through 72, it's going to be an interesting level to watch, right? One touch, a secondary touch on top of it, does it give you the flush? I won't short 72. I will watch what happens at the previous day low. If we pop back into 72, If we get a secondary breakdown, then I may short the second break of the previous day low. That would be my thought on that. For now, I'm waiting just patiently, seeing if I can get into this zone and see if there's anything that happen there. If we don't, if we can start to creep up and start to really push up through that overnight highs gets broken again. I think broken leads us to previous day highs. But we are heavy, so heaviness does lead to selling, which leads to selling. A heavier tilt to the long side slightly, so that may lead to this selling off a little bit, right? Delta pushing heavier, price still holding up. Waiting to see if this will crack. If this cracks down to 72, probably magnet. I do like Microsoft selling off from 412. Gave up 412. Nvidia still just kind of like, it's more like curling here at below 900. It could crack through that low there and then continue on. Like I said, down to 893 is that pre-market low, but 892.23 is probably the ultimate low on Nvidia. I want to see price get deeper on NQ here, give us a little bit more of a follow through, break through this trend, continue on down to that purple zone, wick the purple zone down to the red line there, that previous day low, VWAP now. And then if we can reject that and rotate back up through the purple zone, that could give me an indication to go long on that spot right there, just because I feel like 72 wants to hold. That's really the only reason behind that, right? If it does get to 72 and just bounce, then a break back above this 87 probably leads you to a long as well, right? By the time we get to this previous day low, I think VWAP is over it. So potentially a short through the previous day low isn't out of the realm of possibility, although we do want to watch this green line in the S&Ps because that's the previous day low for S&Ps. So that's going to be a confluence level. Like I said, I think if we do crack above the overnight highs, I would try and go long through the overnight high and see if the high of the day comes in and then up into previous day highs based on the way we're accumulating longs down here at that key level of 172. See if Delta will flush this. See price trying to make new highs. Delta saying, nope, we're staying down here on these lows. So probably if you do get a good break, VWAP comes in. That 163, 165 level comes into play. You're still safe in this short. If you are short from that level, which we were short and we stopped ourselves out just before the flush continued on, right? That green candle got us out, which is fine because some days it does not. And if we can crack this and push deep into 72, then we can look to get long. If this continues to hold and Microsoft continues to push back up over 412, possibly could look to rotate it up higher even. Delta pushing. I think you get a little deeper. If you tag previous day lows, I don't think I could take that first break of that 70, but if it holds and closes up here of 72, 74, where we were long before, then we potentially look for that rotation back to overnight highs from there. If it breaks and holds below the previous day low, then the short comes in. So the two plans there, the break of that previous day low, because you do have that gap down here, down to 140 initially. So the two ideas here, you break this, you get into here, try that, rotate, and then break back up into overnight highs, potentially back up into this area here, big swarmy cloud. The other way it goes, it comes into here, holds a little bit, and then just flushes that down to probably right into here, that 40, 47 area. It could base around here. If it breaks through this 47, I think we do get back all the way to overnight lows. So those are the two pretty much only things that could happen. I mean, if it cracks from here and rotates back high side, the third thing that I mentioned is that this happens. We push up into here, maybe fail this, and then rotate all the way up to previous day highs. And if we get to previous day highs, 277 gets hit. This is avoid this price action type price action. So that's my just staying away because it's not at my levels. Price action, NVIDIA cracking the low again. Seeing if we could break through down into that pre-market low. If we go green to red on NVIDIA, I think the likelihood of this following through is more likely. If we get to a point where we bounce at that pre-market low, that 893 level, then we potentially look for the bounce play, right? So that's the two scenarios here. We are finally giving this area up. The delta is probably heavier. It's not. It's kind of just lingering here at the lows. If you get a nice delta push with the price, you get the follow through down to that VWAP. See if you get a bounce off VWAP. Overall, looking to just kind of be patient. We were up about 190. We gave back one, and we took another win here for $80 here. So sitting up $86 on the day, not too shabby as far as executions are concerned. We did everything we could as far as wanting to do what we want to do around our levels. We got in a little early on this breakdown prior, right? We took the first break here, stopped out at there. Then we took the secondary break, and we took a small piece of that win. Then we came up into here, took the long. The long from here to there brought us from red to green. That red to green put us at 191. Attempted this first short, and I thought it was probably early, probably should bang out at 20. Got out at 224. Rotate back up. Once we failed that the second time, obviously you could see what happened here, but we trailed out just over this high here, ending up getting out for what we have here at $86. So looking for one more good trade here on the day. See if we can't get it. Been very patient. Really happy with not being overly aggressive on a day after being pretty dumb with my executions. Right. So didn't follow my rules yesterday. I did really well all morning, and then once I started to get into a hole that revenge creeped in, and it paid its toll. So I paid my toll yesterday. No more. Back to good mental trading, waiting for that A+ setup, waiting for our levels to come in, right? We need to get to the areas of interest before we could even think about executing, right? Just because I draw lines on the chart doesn't mean that we're interested here. It just means that I think something of that nature may occur. Give us some more confidence in some of these moves. So right now that's kind of, it broke down, but now it's just kind of holding there. So it's really more, if you wanted to say it's in this area here, I think a break, like I said. Microsoft failing 412. NVIDIA holding down, but it's still below 900. Very slower, a lot slower price action. Clean move here, resistance, clean move here. Failed breakout. Clean move down, running into resistance, probably get another leg here. See if it runs into anything at previous day lows, or if previous day lows are just going to flush. And we're going to have to watch the S&Ps to give us that added confluence to see if that's going to happen. Give me 1 second. Hopefully when I walk away and come back, it'll be right and ready to go. let's see. Come on now. Get down through that 72. We'll get through 72 and bounce. And then I'll go long. A hold and a flush of previous day low and a hold gives me a confluence to go short. So that's just, this is the area I'm interested in. If we're going to just linger up here, I don't really have much to do. It's still too far away. It doesn't allow me to limit my risk the way I appropriately want to do it. Always think about your risk first, then whatever happens to the upside happens to the upside. It is what it is, right? There's days that I make one trade where I'm up $1,700 on one trade on a really nice trail. And there's days like, where you just chop yourself around, should only be my max loss of 500. And then there's days like yesterday where you decide to revenge trade, like I said, shows its ugly head and makes you lock yourself out. So realistically, I am just doing my best today to step my mental direction back in the correct way, right? Win, lose, or draw, as long as I execute to my plan, then I think I am okay with my day, right? I'm satisfied that I appropriately executed according to what I wanted to do on the day, and not because my emotions or my bank account or my account balance dictated anything, right? I'm green. That's cool. I was green a little bit more. I executed according to my plan, and now I'm still a small green, right? But I'm still in that area. Now we're starting to get the idea to come in here. That's the heavy break wick of 72. What's the delta doing? Delta's getting heavy. All right, so now we're going to start to get interested here. Does it break and hold the previous day low? Do we wick the previous day low? Do we ever get to the previous day low? If we just wick this 72 and rotate back above 87, then the longs probably come in. I do want to try and get long through 72 or 74 here, this purple zone, but I want this to get down into the previous day low. I don't want to stop here right at 72. VWAP is right on top of that previous day low, so it tells me it wants to get tagged. A lot of reasons why this wants to get tagged. Microsoft trying to sell off. NVIDIA holding up a little bit, but still heavier. Previous day low, the only way I'm going to short is if it holds below here. A break and a hold. If we reject it, wick it, come back up. If it rotates back above 72, that's a long. So right here, right now, I will buy that over 74 if it gets there. This seems very heavy, right? You got delta, a nice heavy delta candle, but right off of VWAP. To me, if it rejects that level and goes above this candle here, then if I get tagged in, I have to go long off my 72 level. It's just part of the plan.
Order filled.
And then I risk below that low. And then if we can get up to 80, I can get the even.
Optimistic that the Fed can get 2% inflation in a reasonable time frame. Economy is robust. The job market is coming into better balance. Fed policy is well positioned for the current outlook. Monetary policy is moderately restrictive. Moderately. I don't expect the productivity jump to be persistent, and there are risks of cutting rates too soon. So they're going to keep rates where they are unless they don't.
Right there below VWAP.
Stick around because later today we got power players. Oh, you're going to be the power players today along with
That's very heavy.
Nick Tick's going to be there.
I need to close below there. We stopped out there. It's all right. Cool with that. If it does it again, we'll do the secondary entry again, like I said. That was very whippy. I think that had to do with that Fed speaker. I'll take this long through 72 this time if it wants to go. Same risk. If it holds below the previous day low, then I'll take that short through the previous day low. But I think we're going to try and bounce off of 72.50.
Order filled.
There we go. I know I set my targets like wildly out there, but this is just like if price decides to do some wild whippy action to the high side, then that's what I do. My 72 level, I'm playing the bounce off it. That's why I have this, right? I'm playing the bounce off of the failed flush of the previous day low. I'm giving it a shot, taking my chance at my level for the rejection, the plan that I talked about. I said if it's going to happen, I'll give it a second shot, because if it's going to go the second time, it'll probably hold. Give it the chance to get up to 80 before I get the break even. I need to get up to 80. Come on, get up to 80. Stop wicking this low. Get up there. Okay, we're up to 80. I'm at even. Let's see how high we can get this. If we get up, hold up there, then we're going to go and move the stop up to 80. And then we're just going to continue to do the same thing over and over again until something happens correctly where the price actually just explodes in a direction. Get up to 84. If we get up to 84, I'll go my stop to even. I mean to 80. Not even. 80. Trying my best to hold this thing here. We got the 84. That was whippy. You know what? No, I'm going to stay down here. I'm going to let this thing go. Let it go. Let it go. There we go. Now I'll stay at that level. So that was a little bit more of a push to the high side. If we can get up through that breakdown, then, you know, I said through 87, probably long to the high. So if 87 breaks, then we're going to wait till the high of this breaks, that 94, and then we'll trail up to there. So let's see if we can get that to go. As I mentioned, we waited for the first time to go, the second time to go. If 87 goes, then the high goes. And if the high goes, then I can get my stop to 87. So I'm going to try and be standoffish here. Let it go. See if I can get it to go through that level. If it's going to just fail the breakdown, then it's going to fail and stop me out. If it's not, I'm going to stop this out there. We're stopped. Okay. So back to even, right? This time, if it fails this, then we get that selling to come in probably pretty hard. Right? There's the heaviness. If we could crack this previous day low this time, stop sell comes into play. This is where I get my my level playing going, right? I'm not opposed to flipping if this fails to do what I want it to do on the high end. But if it's going to go, it's going to go. I said 87 has to hold. 87 didn't hold. 87 failed. If it's going to crack up, then it's going to crack up. Then I'm out, right? Like I was out there. I'm even on the day. Looking for just that one good runner, right? I'm cool with just stopping out at 80 and then moving on to the next one. Could have left it at even, right? Or even left it down low. But we're not looking for that kind of failure to happen there. Microsoft pushing up. Tilt is 50-50. Just Delta gave you a little wick top there as well. Not pushing up as high as price. Could just be flattening out. Could be a wedge. I think a break of 72 and the break of the low gives us the rotation lower. Down to 50. This is, like I said, this is the first touch of 72, the second touch of 72. The third break of 72 probably gives you a lot heavier of a breakdown. If it continues high side, like I said, if 87 holds, then I think if you crack 94, rotate back to high overnight highs is likely. Hopefully people are executing kind of based on how I'm talking through levels. Even if you're not, like I said, you could fade, you could do whatever you want at these levels. I just wanted to show you the reasons why these levels do work time and time and time again, and the idea behind everything that I do, and just why it makes sense to just be patient. You know, there's no reason for execution away from the levels if you have your levels there. Obviously, in this environment, we're not getting a shit ton of follow through, so that's why I like to trail pretty quick and pretty tight. Obviously, this one I burnt myself on it, and that would have been a nice winner. And probably, like I said, wait for this target and then wait for what happens here to enter again or not.
Microsoft still failing that 412. Nvidia still holding below 900, so that's still bearish for this market. And I do think that if we do flush this previous day low, now that VWAP is overhead, just barely, it's just a little bit over it, but it's still over it, still gives us the opportunity for the short to actually play out. 65 is a high volume node, so price wants to go there. I'm just going to play the break of that. If it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I still can limit my risk. I can keep it tight, keep it over 172. I could play the break of 172, but I don't want to do that right now. I want to confirm below the previous day low because VWAP is still supportive of 172, but the previous day low crack has the VWAP overhead, keeps it kind of tight. Could have trailed it up to 87 when it got there, but like I said, I don't have that conviction on that. If I wanted to get more out of it, like this move here, then this would have held 87 and ran, and then I could have went to 87 after that high got cracked. Here's another thing we could get. We could get another bounce into 72 just below it, and then another bounce from there. So if we try to flush and we don't get a good flush, although Delta seems like it wants to get heavy here, it's starting to get heavy before price gets to 72. If 72 rejects here, then you rotate back up. That other end of this high here, that 84, could be the breakout point for where there may be some volume on the long. 1055. Stream goes to 11 every day, Monday through Friday. Every chance I get to be on a stream, I will be on a stream unless I'm doing other things outside of being able to be on the computer. If somebody's using my room or whatever, like my office has a room, then a lot of that is going to go. I'll kind of alert that prior to that happening. This week we are Monday through Friday every day, 8:30 till 11 Central Time. Hopefully everybody was able to limit their risk today, make some money. If not make money, be happy with your executions, doing everything according to your plan. Have a small losing day, keep it tight. Take your money and run if you did win. Looking to see if this will be the heavy point here through this low, through the previous low. Can I get a heavier seller to come in? If we get a higher low in Delta, a higher low in price, I expect the crack of 84 to lead to some buying up into 224 again. S&P's trying to make a higher low here as well. So 172 could be support. 172.50. That's my key line in the sand, though. So I do think if 172.50 goes really hard, then the previous day low will give up on this touch. Because that's the second time or third time that we tried to break 72. And if this is just, this would be the liquidity grab. The next one would be more of a true flush. 3 minutes till 11. Let's see if we get any sort of indication of where this market wants to go. Watching Delta, seeing if Delta will give us an indication of direction prior to it going there. This was getting heavy kind of quickly. Price caught up to it, and then now Delta is acting as support as far as bidders coming in here. If we do crack above this level, maybe that's a fail break up, then a rotation down, and hopefully come 11 o'clock we get a big melt. I will stay on for a couple more minutes past 11. Just to see if this will play out in either direction, just to give myself an idea here. I do like this higher low retest for the break above. So possibly the longs do come in at 172 here to continue us bullish for the week. Nvidia still holding, and you can see the if you want to look at it longer time frame wise, there's that 172 hold, wick, hold. If you break above this level here or you hold this, that rotation back to the higher end, at least to pre-market highs, overnight highs, does make a lot of sense, right? So that's just what I look for as far as levels. But if that level gives up and goes, then downside pushes to 50 at least, and then if 50 can give up, then rotation back down to lows potentially could come in. So that's what I'm looking for this trade idea here. Wick, failed wick. If you break down from this wedge, then you break 72, you break the previous day low, and that gives you the selling to kind of pour in a bit. And that's where I would like to take my profit as far as my trade for the day to be working out. So it is less than a minute here, 20 seconds till this 11 o'clock hour closes. Let's see if we can get this to break through the low. Delta's kind of telling us one. Microsoft still at the highs, but NVIDIA looking to give up the bottom. So maybe that'll give us the final push through 72. Delta cracking the lows, price not following through. Maybe price will go if Delta continues to go down through 72, like I mentioned. NVIDIA is catching a little bit of a bid, so potentially 72 acts as support, then 80. If 80 breaks, then potentially a long comes in from that 72 level. That was our thought process from before. If it holds above 80 here, then potentially long. Microsoft creeping up, NVIDIA creeping up. Let's see what this candle closes. Up over 80. Alrighty. Looks like it doesn't really want to get going to the high side, which kind of gives me more thoughts on the short. This NVIDIA does creep up a touch. Microsoft is still right around that 412 level. If we can continue any sort of delta push to the downside, so price pushed up, delta stayed on the lows. Just watch that 180 level potentially, but 172.50 clearly acting as that support. If it can give up 172.50, then I think we probably melt off really hard. And I'm just using previous day low as my entry point because it just kind of confirms that 172 is broken for the downside move. And that's below VWAP. So that's more of like the confidence that VWAP goes. Every day, all day. 8:30 to 11, if that's all day for you. Until lunch hour most of the time. Like I said, today I'm on a little bit longer. This could be a break to the high side. 54% long, not crazy heavy tilt. Delta still on lows, even though price is trying to tick the high of that wedge. S&P's creeped up, although I think it could still come back down to that 5205. Watch that 5205 level for the S&Ps. If S&Ps give that up, then I think the previous day goes on the NQ. So I'm just leaving that there. If it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, so be it. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, anyone want to talk about for the day, let me know. Realistically, probably ending the day here at even. Hopefully, if this flush comes in, then we can possibly get short and get ourselves a nice little W to end the day. But like I said, overall, not not mad at the day. I waited for my levels. I planned on my executions. Everything that I did had reason behind it. There's levels in play here. We worked around them. We did probably cost ourselves a little bit on this trade here because we could have trailed just a little bit looser. But realistically, like I said, the way price was acting prior, I didn't want to give it back and just try to manage my risk the way I normally do. So just buy myself another trade, buy myself another trade, buy myself another trade. That's really all I can do every single time. It was a faster move, so the trail was faster. That's how I really roll. Fast move, fast trail, slow moves. Try to just trail it candle to candle, or based on structure, or based on price points. It just really depends on the way the action of the trade works for me. I am super short term, scalper type trade, swing trade type moves are not fitting for me currently, especially the way, with funded accounts, you need to kind of take your money and run. Could have really been still in this short if you were in it. There's nothing telling you that you had to get out yet. And if this bottom end goes here, then potentially the rest of it goes, right? If there's a heavy delta, tilt's only 50%. So let's see if this will get through here, get through this previous day low, and then rotate out of and be expansionary from yesterday's range. We sort of cleaned up a little bit of the inventory from yesterday. So that's why I think today, if it does want to stay to the downside like it did overnight, then this rotation could come in from 72 down from 172 down to 72. So that's a 100-point move to the downside. I appreciate the likes over on YouTube. Anybody that comes into YouTube, don't be afraid to click that link to get over to tradecaster.com. It's where traders go for all their streaming needs. It's made for traders by traders. It's a great little platform. If there's anything you want to learn, it's pretty much in here. Options, futures with me, futures with Caesar, futures with some other guys. You got stocks, penny stocks. You got small caps, large caps. You got everything you could want, shorts, longs, just like I said, anything you could want to learn, it's here for you. There's a room for you. We all work together. We all try to support each other in here. It's not you're dumb environment where the teachers know everything and the viewers don't. I think a lot of cooperation together. Everybody learns from everybody, and it's really a great platform over there. And you don't have to hunt through YouTube to find the next trader, the next trader, the next trader. It's all right here, right now for you. You can go into the lobby and check out what you want to check out. So realistically, like I said, I think TradeCaster, bang for bang, dollar for dollar, you're getting your money's worth just based on the amount of great streamers that we have here. If you're watching me on YouTube, like I said, you may be a futures trader. You may be just interested in markets in general. You may just be somebody in passing. But if you do enjoy trading or want to learn more about different types of trading besides futures, besides prop type trading or these funded companies or anything like that, head over to the link, create a free account. You get a 7-day free trial. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and learn from everybody in here. And it just gives you an opportunity to get into multiple different rooms, learn from multiple different people, pick little pieces from each person, and then make it your own and create, your own winning strategy from there. Let's see. Delta still flat. Tried to push down below here. Price just flattening out. I think if we do crack through the low here, there's that, like I said, that high volume node here at 65. But I do think if we can get through it, we can rotate down even further. That's interesting. Quite flat price action over the whole, pretty much last hour, right? From 10:15 now to 11:15. Just, we're not quite at 11:15 yet, but it's more of a basing type pattern. If you are that kind of trader where you're going to play a continuation type move, I am looking to go short through the previous day low, because I think if we do crack the previous day low, we do get some volume to kind of pour into it. Because also that 72 level is pretty much gives up. And then with NVIDIA still holding below 900 and Microsoft just kind of basing at 412. If it can't get through 412 or the high of the day, then I don't think that the NQ is going to go much further to the high side. I would really like to see this thing get heavy and get through down to 50 pretty quick. If it can get to 50 quick, then we could see how far we could trail it, see how much money we can make on the day to close out the end of the day here. I'm just trying to stay on a little bit longer. I am off today from work, so I do try to stay a little bit longer on Wednesdays, on Tuesdays as well if I can, but if I don't need to, I don't. Tuesday seems to be my nemesis of late, so there may be some limited trading on Tuesday come next week. We're going to see what happens through this level here, right? Big, strong, impulsive move down. Support at a really key level at 72, right? Obviously, this purple zone makes sense. Astro Trader asked about how I get these levels. I talked about it. If you want to rewind the stream at all, it's in there. You can see why I use these levels and why they work and why they don't, and why I'm interested in them. There's so much liquidity being grabbed here that I feel like whichever direction it does decide to go, it should be a pretty nice, clean move out of whatever way it is. NVIDIA's still trying to curl downside. Microsoft still hasn't broke through that 412 level with any sort of force. So to me, as this VWAP kind of creeps up higher, the rotation through the previous day low makes more sense. However, if it does just hold that 72 level, then potentially just you start to creep up, and then that's when you start to get some buying momentum. I just think that whatever way it does go, it probably is going to be a decent, clean type move to that direction. Want to see this thing go. There's that 172 trying to hold right now. If 172 gives up, then this probably gives a heavy delta candle. There is the delta's acting in the same direction. Let's see if we can get some heaviness now through 66, through this previous day low. I said if 72 goes this time, then it probably gets heavy pretty fast. I am going to get triggered into a short here, likely through this previous day low. I think if we accept outside of the previous day range, then we rotate out. If this fails, if this rejects and doesn't trigger me into the short, I will think to go long through that 175. If this candle doesn't trigger me in for a short, which I would be surprised if it doesn't, then a long through 74 is valid. Now, Microsoft's getting heavy, NVIDIA's getting heavy. I think we do hold below 72. This candle here, the 76, top end of that would be where stops are. You can see why I went below the previous day low. That tagged that VWAP, tagged that previous day low. Didn't quite make it through it. I could look to get long through here if it goes. Delta popped down pretty heavily and price followed through to a point and then gave up. No, I think it's still heavy. I think that 72 doesn't give it. Over 80. Yeah. You saw that the way it broke pretty cleanly through that 72 after it got there, grabbed that liquidity, and now it's rotating higher. Possibly look to see if 80 breaks, then potentially look to rotate to 94 pretty quick. Damn, that's nice. There's that flush. There we go. You saw that failure of 80. Hopefully this now breaks down. There's a reason why I didn't take that long there. There's a lot of interesting price action. There's a heavy delta. There's a big seller there. Did he get filled? A huge sell got filled at 60, 76, 77. Big seller, 40 lot. I don't know how many lots, but it's a decent size, a couple hundred lots. A couple hundred contracts selling at 75 to 77. So if 72 goes this time, then I would like to see this thing get really heavy pretty quick. If it does go high side, that's very interesting. That grabbed all that seller and then is going to stop them out. Or if that was their stop getting run. I don't think it is. S&P creeping up, held its previous day low here, holding its VWAP. I think it's going to give it up. I'm going to stay on. NVIDIA catching a bid. I liked the way that size got filled there over the key level. I feel like they're just trying to get filled around the level for the short to kind of just pour it in. If this can now crack and break, it should be the heaviness, right? Like there's a reason why I put my sell order where I do. You like to not get wicked in and wicked out like this. I think price is giving me an opportunity to make a decision at this point. Which way does it go? Which way does it go? Does it still get heavy? Did this get shorts involved? Did it stop them out? And now is it rolling down? Like I said, there was a huge seller here that got filled from 73 to 77. Pretty large order. 40, 13. Got filled 40 twice, 80. Probably a couple hundred lots to sell just over this 72. So not a ton of... That means a lot of smaller orders got filled on the buy side and the bigger order got filled on the sell side. So the larger order is technically cost averaged in there right around where we're at right now. So right now it seems like they're break even. Potentially they could be slightly in the money. I think maybe we get another flush down through this low because of that guy. But if I start to see bigger buys come in, then potentially he's out, stopped out, and then starting to run it to the high side over the 80. Microsoft looking to creep up. NVIDIA right at 900. The key level is 955 for me. $900.55. If it breaks through that and holds, then potentially rotates up to 906, and then this runs the highs. That's in liquidity. Do we pop this high? I will stay on stream till 11:30. If this pops off here and starts to run up to the highs, kind of have no entry around my level. If it does want to flush the low, I will be in on a short idea. But NVIDIA just cracked through that 955 level. It's right at 901. If it doesn't give up 900, then this probably stays and just kind of holds above set 172. If I can give up 172... the way I see Delta being heavier than price action, I think we do give it up. It's just VWAP's acting as pretty good support. We are away from the opening range, right? Opening range is all the way down at the low of the day, right? We left the opening range at the low of the day. This was my trade. I mean, really, I wanted this pretty bad. I wanted a long off of this, but I needed this opening range to tick down at least closer to that overnight low, try and flush it or something. to break through that opening range high to take this long up at least a VWAP, right? But that's just didn't happen. So we're not at that point yet. It looks like we're holding over 180. Russell and the S&Ps are both ticking upside a bit. Nothing crazy upside, but like it's not like a big volume break of this trend line here. So it's not like it seems like it's, manipulative. Also, at the same time, it doesn't seem like it wants to provide a lot of follow through. So they could just see a lot of chop the rest of the morning. Could look to see if we get an opportunity at power hour. If I do that, I will let you know. I'll hop on or something like that and hop on for power hour. But I'm gonna stay until 11:30 today. See where price ends up, and we'll go. Like I said, I don't really have a long. I would have took a long through the 72 here, thinking for the same idea where I had right there. I wanted this to follow through that time. The lack of follow through that 87 level caused me concern, and obviously you can see why, right? I got stopped out for, now I'm up $10 for the day, but I've been up, I've been down, pretty much basically a break-even day, and it's fine to get out on a break-even day, and especially after the last couple days this week where I've just traded like doo-doo, not sticking to my rules. You can see it. I do everything live, so I don't want anybody to be like, "Oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that." I don't stick to I'm totally accountable. If I'm not gonna stick to my rules, if I'm gonna get FOMO, if I'm gonna do stupid shit, that's gonna be, you're gonna see it here, and you're gonna know, oh, he did it. He did what he said he wasn't gonna do, or And for the most part, since the beginning of April, I've been really very strict with my drawdown rules and stuff like that, locking myself out at a small loss for the day. Yesterday was that first day where I was just like, I'm going to just try and get back. And, once you have those days, the market will humble you and not let you get back. So we're looking to see what happens here. Like I said, down till 11:30, I'll stay. If NVIDIA gives up 900 again, potentially we could rotate through this low, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. Big deck. Dow ticks higher, tries to extend winning streak 6 days. I think we do potentially close higher than open, obviously, the way we have reacted today. There's also a chance that, like I said, this previous day low goes, and then we can rotate down pretty hard. I think that 72 level acting as support. If support gives up at 72, instead of acting as support the previous day low, the second time, third time through that level after grabbing some liquidity here could lead to some heavier selling. So that's just my thought on why that level gives up, why I would like to short. If this is a failed breakout of this too, like I said, there's not a huge, there wasn't a huge volume on the first break. Volume ticked up at 87 again, failed 87 again, and now we're failing this level. If this level fails, and if this gives up, and it gives up 72, I think this time the previous day low gives up, and then we give a little bit of heaviness. Microsoft trying to sell off of 412, giving us some level of confluence there. Like I mentioned, Delta pushed up, now pushed right back down, very heavy. Anytime you start to see sellers pour in, Delta has been getting heavier. So in relative terms, sellers are more willing to step into this market than the buyers are at the moment, right? So it just seems like sellers want to step in first. They want to get in early. It seems like they're trying to get in early, trying to beat something that's going to happen to the downside, right? They're trying to front run some sort of short move here. That's what I think. Especially with this tilt being heavier long, I think now we could start to see it tick down even further. If the retail traders are starting to fight the institutions, like if we're starting to fight the institutions and we're starting to try and go long more and more and more from these lows, that's the time that it tries to go and melt off and be short. So just trying to use the order flow to your advantage is really what I'm trying to do here. A failed break of this level, failed breakout once, twice, 3 times through that 72 level long-term key bounce point. And if you flush the previous day low, it means you're probably going to accept into new lows for the day and expand from yesterday's range, right? We kind of came into it, cleaned up some of that, cleaned up that overnight high, and now we can justify moving this market lower because the overnight high has been cleaned up, all the overnight inventory has been cleaned, and now the overnight lows, which never got tagged, are still kind of right there, ready to be grabbed off, right? Like, I don't know if it'll melt off that far, but realistically, it's still reasonable that that could get hit.
I'm really, happy that you're taking this payout. I know you've taken lots of payouts. You're a really good trader, Nick. It just reminded me of some of the bigger traders on the trading floor. They would have a drawdown or they'd have a real
11:30, I said I'll stay on the stream, but if this starts to approach that key level of breaking, I'll stay on for as long as that takes to break that down. And then if I'm in a position, then you'll start to see me manage it, all that fun stuff. But I'm willing to risk one full loss to allow this thing to give you some heaviness to get through the low. If Microsoft starts to falter and get down through some of these lower wicks, NVIDIA just trying to give up 900 again. That 955 level gave up. So potentially that helps our short idea. Or if this is just an accumulation and it runs to highs, then it is what it is, and we're out. We're not in it. Five minutes. Let's see if we can get this thing to get off in 5 minutes. NVIDIA trying to give up 900. If 900 gives up, maybe it'll start heavier sells. 411.50 for Microsoft, I think, gives up. That may be the level where we start to see some sellers come in. But if all this holds, all this chop holds, there's that heaviness coming back. Let's see if 72 goes. If 72.50 goes, short through this previous day low. And this is messed up. There we go. This tighter. I don't know why it does that. I need to zoom out for the VWAP to get to where it needs to get to. Come on, NVIDIA, get heavy. I would love to see this thing just give me one of those, like, no look back, melt off, huge size, come in, sells. If it gives that opposite direction buyer, then, we don't ever get involved. It is holding and accumulating. You got Delta now creeping up more than it was prior. You got a little bit of a, trying to make a lower high. A higher low here. Got nothing. 2 more minutes till 11:30. I'm gonna get off the stream if this thing doesn't melt off in the next 2 minutes. I appreciate, like I said, everybody coming by, building up the viewership, having good conversation, asking good questions. It's really it helps me stay out of some stupid shit. Realistically, like I said, I executed according to my plan. Yeah, I was up a little, down a little, up a little, down a little. Now up a little, like a little, $10. But after the last few days of just absolutely not sticking to my loss limit plans, to get back into a good point where I'm okay with a small green day to kind of just build off on that momentum, build off on the momentum. If this trade does trigger, then so be it. Like if we take a loss on it, I'm still happy with why I executed the trade, right? There's a difference between poor executions and executions according to your plan around levels, right? Like that's a different story, right? So if 11:30 hits and this thing flushes down and we get in and we make our money, it's because I executed according to my plan, right? If it stops me out, if it just comes in and does the same thing and wicks me and then stops me out, again, I executed according to my plan. I have an idea. I really see what's possible of what could be coming based on that length of time that this has been accumulating price action, right? With a lack of follow through to the upside, a push down to the downside seems more likely if that 72 level can finally give up, if that pre-market level can finally give up, right? That's just kind of where I'm at with how this price action probably ends up. I am okay executing this trade based on the ability for this thing to just give me that flush, right? This one time I had my entry in a really good location where I wasn't at risk of getting wicked in. Now, if it goes this time, it shouldn't do what it did there. It should give you that once, twice, 3 times, 4th time breaking through a 72, finally being like, all right, now the sellers have accumulated what they needed to accumulate, and now they need to get down to business, right? I think this seller kind of got in and out already because there's some large buys coming in now. So last time the large sellers came in, the buys ticked up. So now there's some larger buyers ticking up in here. Maybe that gives us an indication that the seller's going to come on the other end. Delta, look, you see that Delta heavier. We're wedging in. There you go. Alrighty. Looks like it, I mean, potentially, like I said, it's wedging here a bit. This is sort of important, and then so is this. I will wait. I'm waiting for this thing to go, so I don't want to get off on you, and then the trade happens. So I'm going to stay live until I decide to pull this trade idea off the table. Just based on the strength of everything trying to hold up. NVIDIA is starting to try and tick the high of this previous push up right here, but also just wicking it and failing. If NVIDIA gives up that $955 again, $900.55 level again, because Microsoft just gave up the 411.50 level, maybe this does give you that heaviness to finally say, all right, we're going to go. But if NVIDIA holds up, then potentially the market just, like I said, if it holds this 72, it probably just grinds up without a really explosive move. But you got to get and hold above this 90 level. Otherwise, you just stay within this range. If this price creeps back up and holds above 87, I will take this sell order off and just walk away for the rest of the day, see what happens. Maybe return, like I said, later on at power hour. Right now, like I'm looking at it, just kind of not a lot of price action. Very tight. I like the Microsoft selling. I like the idea of NVIDIA trying to wick this high and then failing, but it just caught a bid and pushed up a little bit higher. Right now we're into like yesterday's post-market, after-market hours. 902.71 level is that next level. 902.80, still not giving this a big bid though, right? Like, so does this break the 72 break, then you break day low? Like, if you're an aggressive trader, if you're looking to kind of scale in, a break of 76, a break of 72, a break of previous day lows, scales you in to your winner, and then just depends on how far down you go. It's how much money you make. I'm not in a position right now after the last 2 days to be scaling in, so I'm waiting for the absolute best opportunity for my plan to work out, right? Because if it breaks this previous day low, I would expect it to never come back to 72. Okay, so there's a crack of that level. So if 75 goes, then possibly 72 goes. If 72 breaks, then the previous day low goes. And then if it's previous day low goes, then we start to get sellers to pour into this, I think. I think they built in. They have successfully grabbed a lot of orders. If they're going to go in either direction, they've done it, right? They have whatever they want out of this price action. I would guess that they've filled up their order book. The 5205 goes, then we have sellers coming. There's the big sell. There we go. Come on now. Sell off through the low. There's a heaviness. I said you scale in there, and then through this low. You likely don't get back through 72 if it gets through this previous day low. So there goes 5205. There goes Microsoft. NVIDIA is starting to try and sell. Didn't quite go. I'm still in a good spot. If this doesn't go here, then a rotation higher happens. The VWAP holds. I can't see this happening. I can't see it holding. I think the previous day low goes, and then we go right straight down to 50, then beyond. There we go.
Order filled.
There we go. Let's see how heavy we can get. Can we get heavier? That was really heavy, really fast. If it gets over 72 again, I'll be very surprised. There, we finally got the short in. Let's see if I said right to 50 real quick. If we get 250, I'm going to go to break even, and then after 50, we'll see if we can get any lower. I mean, we cracked that level that I'm really interested in shorting, right? I want to see how far down we can get this. I would love to see if we can get to overnight low, but if we can get to 50, at least that gives us the breakdown here below 52, and then I can be at even, right? That's really my thought process on this. It just seems like that can't get back over 72. If it gets back over 72, then, I mean, it's ridiculous. Then I get out. I hope you get it. I hope it, the bond auction just happened. So maybe that's just going to wick us in and out. Fungalitos. I don't want to be out. I want this thing to go, baby. Get down there. Get through that low again. I can get my stop to even. If this rips up again, like I said, 72 is that key level, that breakdown level. I like 72 to not get reclaimed. And then I like it to rotate all the way down, to be honest, but need some help from some of these other names to kind of keep going. So I want to be really limiting my risk here if this can't get through the low. That kind of fast price action usually leads to a pretty good move in either direction. But if it's going to just be a liquidity grab, I'm screwed and I'm out of that. But then if it breaks through that high of that 79, I would potentially look to see if that long comes into play. But really, I think we're holding through that previous day low. I want it to be an expansionary type day. So that's really what I'm looking for as far as that movement is concerned. 73, like I said, that's my level. Unfortunately, it's reclaiming VWAP. There it is. Popping back up. This is where I like to try and see if price is going to work in my favor. As I mentioned, if it goes back up and stops me out, I executed exactly what I saw happening, right? I said they built into the short, they built into the short, they built into the short. They're there. I'm willing to take my risk and, be able to execute according to my plan. It flushed that previous day low. You think it should never come back to 72. if it does, it does. Like I can't help but say that was a short, right? That was a short. If it's still not going to continue down, then I can't help it. But realistically, I need this S&P to keep rolling. Nvidia is creeping higher, which is hurting my odds here. I'm trying to give it a little space, letting it go a bit. I want it to get down to that low so I can get the break even. This is just me playing my level. Break of that previous day low again. I need that delta to push. Heavy delta still in my favor. Look at that delta push, right? Heavy delta. Holding below VWAP, but there's that volume node there at 65. 75 is that level. 75 is key from that breakdown, right? I mentioned 75. If we get up over 75 and I get stopped out and it runs down again, I may look to short it, like I said. But I took a chance at a level that I think works. And if it rips me off, then it rips me off, right? I appreciate the support there, Leezy. We broke support, and this is really what I expect to happen in the direction that I want it to go. If it doesn't want to go, then so screwed over there by the market. And I'm not going to FOMO back in. I'm going to get out, and I'm going to lock myself out, and I'm not going to get back in today. But I'm going to see if this is going to let me get my thing, get price going in my direction. Doesn't seem like it. Seems like S&P's is reclaiming 5205, which is going to reclaim 72, which is going to reclaim highs. And then we'll see what happens from there. But overall, like I said, I don't like 72 to break back above this level here because that probably leads to bigger buyers coming in. That was such a great short. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better short. And so everything I did there, I did exactly according to my plan. And I waited and I waited and I waited. And I didn't, I still lost on the trade. So that's the kind of week I've been having with everything. Just no follow through with that kind of move there. I anticipated it down to 50. It tagged 55 twice and then never came back, right? So shit happens when you party naked. I guess that's what the saying goes, right? What am I going to do there? That was great. Hopefully you caught it and then you took profit and called it a day. I just didn't even get a chance to get myself to break even. That sucks. What a shitty market. I can't be mad at my executions. Just out here executing, talking through exactly what was going to happen. Right? A break at this level leads to a break at 72, leads to the break of the previous day low, and it closed below previous day low. So realistically, you think that you're going to get that final follow through that level. I could take one more shot at it. Still not on my thing, but that's crazy that I didn't get that follow through on that. Nvidia now giving me that wedge. Do I take one last shot? One last shot through it, and that's it. It's not a revenge. I want to see if this will actually go this time or not. I can't believe that happened like that. Usually that gives me my good follow through, to be honest with you. Price trying to get back up to high. VWAP holding. All right. If it gets above that 75 level, then we're just going to shut it down. That was super whippy, got me involved, and then decided, no, we're not going to play that game. Feel like the heaviness still comes. There's the S&P breakdown again.
Order filled.
absolutely huge. Preparation, yes, there, journal.
Oh, didn't want that. I'll take it. Last shot. If it's going to not go, then it's not going to go, and we're going to be done. We're going to lock ourselves out after this. Absolutely, for sure. Come on, get heavy now. Now's the time. If you're going to go this time, you should probably go and be confirming, right? And Nvidia is heavy. Microsoft is still selling. Price is still heavy. S&P's is still through yesterday's low. We're still below VWAP. Everything's still saying short. So I am hammering this short, seeing if I can get this thing to go through, follow through a little bit. Like I said, if it goes back over it, it goes back over it. It is what it is. We are just waiting to see if this trend line will crack and give us that final little bit of hope to the downside here. Give me that flush. Give me that roll. Still waiting to see if it's going to crack and hold or if it's going to rotate back through 72. Looks like 72 is the winner. If it wants to go, it's going to go at some point. I would like to be involved if it does. If it doesn't go, then we're, like I said, we're going to be out, lock ourselves out for the day, be done, call it. No more FOMO, no more missing out on these trades. I think that was a great flush. I think we should, like I said, get that low of the day, previous day low, to be acting in our favor. It doesn't seem like it wants to, so I'm really going to tighten up here above 72.50. Microsoft's still heavy. Like, everything's still selling except for the NQ, so probably leading us to the upside. S&P's just cracked its high of that VWAP, so potentially looking to rotate up. Looks like a rotation off the previous day low. Yeah, so we're done. We are going to cancel all we locked out today at 365, continuing our losing streak, but it is what it is. We executed according to our plan, stayed on a little later. Back on tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. as always. The losing streak continues, but we'll be back and better than ever starting tomorrow. Let's get it. Peace.